In the days after the September attacks, there were countless rumors about strange coincidences surrounding the events. One report about a group of Middle Eastern men spotted the morning of September 11th parked just across the river from New York City has not gone away.
Romans? Where were they now?
You're looking at him, asshole.
We are back. Actually, if you're listening to this after the fact, we're not back. This is the very beginning of the show, but we were live for like 10 minutes, and then
what are you even talking about?
I dared try to open the soundboard, and Streamlabs said, "Oh no, and they killed that shit right away. Streamlabs just straight up crashed.
Baby, I'm gonna give the people something. I'm gonna give the people something right now. I'm gonna read you a tweet, a post by William Shatner. In the style of Dusty Rhodes. So there's a 10th planet, baby, that was found in our solar system and funky like a monkey. I think that we need to change the rules on who gets to name it because the ridiculous Astronomers Union, who not only failed to name Pluto's name Vulcan, it's an oversight, baby. That was a very big oversight. And then demoted Pluto as a planet appears to be just a bunch of corrupt nerds on a power trip, baby. Woo! It's like Ric Flair all over again. I suggest that we get Trump to name it, and while he's at it, restore Pluto as a planet and put an end to the Union's tyranny of the cosmos. I agree, baby. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, agrees with William Shatner on this all the way. Mm-hmm.
What just happened?
Welcome to the insides of my mind.
I think both of us are starting to lose our marbles. Why do we do this to ourselves? For the people. We do it for the people. We're martyrs.
Hey, remember when we had just like nice little shows that we were just like building up and, you know, and then all of a sudden we decided to go pro, and then everything, and then every single tech problem under the sun decided to happen to us spontaneously out of blue. Just like, that's just not going to work for you, son. Like, what about the thing? Like, but I was working the week before, and like, nope. Sorry,
not today. Nope, it's just like it's like a random number generator. You might get it, you might not. Let me know if Jason's audio is better. I looked like he was coming in hot, so I pulled him down. Let me know if it has improved.
Why are you cooling down my audio, baby? Don't cool down my audio. Do you have a new link here? Where is it?
Yeah, I tweeted out the new link. Well, Emmanuel says, I don't stream, but from what I know, most audio issues are incorrect routing of devices, be in the OS or apps and plugins. This causes things to not have audio, and the other is mixed bit rate, which causes choppy audio. His audio is still choppy. Okay, so some people are saying that your audio is better. Some people are saying that it's still choppy. And I swear to God, I am going to, if this sort of stuff persists, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to delete the channel. I'm going to delete the channel. I'm going to delete my Twitter account. I'm going to burn down my house. I'm going to take my wife and my son, and we are going to drive deep into the desert, and we're going to set up a lean-to, and we're going to live off the land, eating lizards and drinking water that we collect off of cactus outside. It's not that choppy for me. Okay, it looks like Matt, come to the Washington Desert. Yes, oh man, I would love to go to the Washington Desert. Did you know there's desert in Washington State? Would you believe it? They thought it was going to get a lot darker, yeah. Javier Oliva says there must be something wrong with his audio. He sounds like he smokes 3 packs a day.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to send me some tobacco money, because I'm out of money in tobacco, two things. Having two of those things happen at the same time is tragic. So you can send me some money directly to my PayPal. I'll put the link. I think.
Oh,
do
I might have
the
to.
thing, or?
I might have to put since we have a new stream now. I might have to put the PayPal link in it. Let me see if
Here,
it copied over or not.
I'll
Nope,
put
it's in
I'll put
there.
it the chat.
It's in there. So we did have a super chat on our first attempted live. Let me catch the super chat real quick. CG Constantine, he says, building a 40K, sometimes we need another hobby besides being a king pilled. Doesn't surpass being a Mironchad, though.
No, it's true.
We're are we gonna do this? Are we gonna have a king pilled versus Mironchad war?
Well, look, Mironchad is just being a Mironchad is a higher prestige than whatever the hell you have. That's just the way it is. There it is, folks. There's a PayPal button. Send me some money. Yeah, I don't need much. That's a great thing. I need what I need. I need like $30 USD. Gets me a pack of smokes. So
$30 for a pack of smokes?
Yeah.
Holy crap on a cracker. All right, you heard the man. There is a PayPal link in the description. You can put Jason on your payroll, and you can ensure this man can get the precious substance that will ensure that he does not go postal.
Yeah, that
do
my
this
family,
for him.
My family sleeps well at night if I have tobacco in the house. If I don't have tobacco, I can't guarantee their safety. I'm just saying, like it's just
do it for Jason's wife and precious little daughter. Keep them safe.
Yeah.
Send him money. Send him money. PayPal link in the bio or in the description.
Yeah, $30 for a cheap pack of smokes. I know. Don't tell me that your Luckies are $6. Luckies are my favorite cigarettes in the world. Yeah. So send me $30. $30 USD. I can go. I literally once if I hit that goal, I will get out of this seat. I'll tell Matt in mid sentence. I'm like, Matt, take it over, and I will walk up to the 7-Eleven, get me some cigarettes, and come back here and be a much more pleasant human being. Until then, no guarantees on how shitty I might get. So we'll see how she goes.
Well, why don't we?
Or I might lick an ashtray. So.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't think that's going to help anything. It might make your voice a little gravelier, but you don't need that. Well, let us add alcohol into the conversation.
Yep.
That is a good beer.
What are you drinking?
This is Devil's Backbone, a Belgian-style triple by Real Ale Brewing from locally here in Blanco, Texas.
Ooh.
Devil's Backbone.
I am drinking Dingo Lager. Maybe a dingo ate you, baby. After a few cans of our lager. Actually, this is a classic sign up in Fremantle, not far from Perth. There's a Dingo Flour sign company, like a flour mill. That's quite famous. So it's that's part of the sign. That's the beer. Blah blah blah. There you go. Little Australian trivia that you don't give a shit about. Why would you?
Because it's Australia. Do you are dingoes like? Are they like rural, or are they like they run around?
They're wild. They're just wild dogs, right?
Are they like coyotes, kind of?
Yeah, I guess they're not. I think coyotes are actually bigger. Like dingoes are just really just a wild dog. Yeah, I mean, yes, like coyote-ish thing.
Like you might randomly see them in a residential area sometimes, just sort of running around doing their thing, or are they like they're out in the bush keeping away from people?
I don't know if there are any. If I'm in the West Australia, so I don't know even if we have any. If we do, it might probably be more like in the desert kind of shit. We don't have any down here, like other than if there was like stray dogs, but we don't even have stray dogs down here. So, no.
CG Constantine says dingoes used to be a domestic dog. Well, isn't that interesting? So, like every other every other dog species, it's like you have the wild dog, and then gradually it gets domesticated. But the dingoes, you're saying the dingoes were domestic dogs that then feralized? Is that CG Constantine's the guy to talk to? The man appreciates his animals.
That wouldn't honestly surprise me, because I mean half the problems in Australia with animals and that kind of stuff come from domestication, right? So like they have they'll have a bring in domesticated breed, it gets out into the countryside. There's no other predators or anything else that's kind of inhibiting it, so they just kind of run wild. That doesn't surprise me.
Nicholas Bauman says, I always think of the man hitting the kangaroo and I think of Australia. Yeah, every single time I see any sort of video of an Australian man fighting a kangaroo, or like, I don't know, grabbing a poisonous snake, or doing whatever crazy Australian men things do, or whatever things Australian men do, I always think of Jason. I always just imagine Jason like getting up in the morning and popping a smoke in and stretching, and then like some roo comes hopping into his backyard and he's like, hey, motherfucker, and he goes and chases it, like tackles it and starts punching it, and that's what I always visualize.
I'm not the guy who would actually physically tackle a kangaroo. I would just throw a brick at its head.
And it wouldn't move, right?
Oh, it would move. Those fuckers move.
Aren't they kind of dumb? Are they like deer?
They're cracked out deer. They're meth deer. That's
hoppy meth deer.
But they're if it bleeds, we can kill it. It's just they're just fucking stupid. They like to jump in front of cars. Like seriously, people hit these fuckers all the time. And they're being careful. Like it's not like people are being assholes with driving, just driving down a country road. And a kangaroo just decides to just jump in front of the car, like boop. It's like
they are like.
Then of course, occasionally people go, "Oh, but it's the kangaroos." I'm like, dude, they're not fit. They're not fit for. I'm not saying God makes mistakes, but
Are the kangaroos abo-brained? Is that they're
yeah? They're huffing gas, making throat noise, fucking spoon music.
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
Great.
All right. Well, this is we're here to talk about Curtis Yarvin. Did Curtis Yarvin sell out? We began talking about that before the stream crashed. We decided we were just going to start over again from the beginning. So, Curtis Yarvin, did he sell out? What do you say?
Well, so I sent you this topic a few days ago, and my question was about this, because I've seen this now from many different circles saying similar things. And I've seen Yarvin from the dissident right perspective kind of go in and out of favor. You know what? The real test of it was when he came out with that Hobbits, Dark Elves article like 2 years ago, whatever it was. And that really pissed people off. And it pissed a lot of people off because they realized that, oh shit, I'm a Hobbit.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't like that. And it's like, yeah, like, I don't know, maybe because I'm older, maybe because I'm just a particular kind of blue collar, maybe because I come from a blue collar family. I worked in service for a long time. Like I was happy doing that for a long time. I realized that I wasn't supposed to be smart. And yet I was smart. So I kind of hid my power levels for a long time in certain circles because it just there was no point. And then once all these things change over the last 5 years, and you kind of have to get activated, you see that there's people in the academic circles who treat you like this curiosity. We were saying this about Andrew Wilson. And I think part of his his charm and what he and why the left certain left wing guys hate him so much. It's not even his argumentation, which is good, but like whatever. It's that he's a blue collar guy who's not supposed to be able to do this. He's not supposed to know how to do high level debate argumentation, right? He's supposed to be some MAGA chud, and the fact that he refuses to stay in frame pisses them the fuck off. And so how this relates to Yarvin is like when people say he sold out, I'm like, Yarvin's an elite. Yarvin's is an elitist, right? Like he's an academic elitist. He's essentially a leftist. He's just
he's a class traitor,
whatever. Right. He just saw the inside of it and like, well, this is going to lead to destruction. I don't want destruction. Therefore, like Yarvin is just a leftist who realized that we don't live in a civilization anymore. And he decided to do something about that. So hats off to him. But that's been his entire thing the entire time. When he was on, when he was on the panel with me and Pete for Joe Rogan Friend or Fed, he said explicitly to me in that show that his intention is to completely take down the current system. He wants to reorganize it. That's his objective goal. So he doesn't really, and I don't think he cares how he gets there. There's one tweet, we'll get to it, I'm sure, about him saying, he's laid out his objectives. He's told you that Harvard needs to be destroyed, and now he's appearing at Harvard doing a debate.
Yes.
And people might look at that and go, huh? And it's like, no, do you understand that the fact that he's there means that Harvard's done?
Yes. That means him being behind enemy lines means that's how far Harvard has fallen. Harvard is to the point where they are now bringing in the guy who has said, like, one of his sworn goals is to destroy Harvard, tanks in Harvard Yard. They are now platforming him because they have been cornered into this position. It's a sign they're a dying animal. They're a dying animal, and they've brought him in there because they're handcuffed by the fact that they have to try to keep being Harvard, but adapt to the fact that there's a lot of hostility toward Harvard, and Harvard has a lot of egg on its face. They have been failing at their mandate, and their mandate is ultimately on the social level. It's kind of like to confer social status. That's Harvard's job, and
exactly.
They're losing that ability.
Their entire job is to be relevant. It's relevancy.
Yes. And now their sworn enemy is relevant, and they're forced to platform him because they have to be relevant. He's the poison pill to Harvard.
Yarvin started off Gray Mirror, the Substack blog. His first article on under Gray Mirror on Substack was essentially
I don't think that you can hear the when there's a super chat or something. I don't think you could see or hear the little animation.
No, I can't.
So you said when he started when he started Gray Mirror, and then Trump goes, "I'm gonna come."
I had the same one. I have Trump saying, "I'm gonna come," and I had it playing one time when I was like talking about I was doing Great Lent, and I had like I forget, I was commenting on maybe it was Father Josiah or someone, one of their videos, and I'm playing it. It was all kind of like solemn a little bit, and all of a sudden someone sent a super chat and like there's Trump going, "I'm gonna come." I'm like, oh, that's probably not gonna land right.
Oh, I did get a super chat, $20 super chat from Mr. TC. He says, "Hit the like button." Yes, indeed. Please do hit the like button. We got 78 watching right now and 21 likes, so please hit the like button. And
again, send me some PayPal money. All I need is $30 USD. And
he's refreshing it in real time, folks. You got to go over there. Hit the link in the description. Go pay the man. The man puts in the long hours for you guys. Give him your money.
So the first thing that Yarvin starts off Gray Mirror on Substack with is a little blurb about relevancy. He's saying that we're all in the modern age. Social media has made us all relevant. We're all relevant now. We're all validated by this thing. But now that we're all validated, now that we're all relevant, no one's relevant. It's reduced relevancy out completely.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do now? What's the new currency? What's the new thing that these old systems could do? Because really, when you look at it that way, 99% of this entire managerial revolution, everything like this academic structure, all of it has been about relevancy. The expert class, trust the experts. Have you been there? Have you been there, Matt? How have you? You know, trust the experts. We just need more experts, Matt. That's Matthew. That's all we need is a bit more experts. Lick a dick.
Getting very uncomfortable over here.
Well,
I don't want to talk to a British person.
lick a dick, Matthew. But here's the thing. So okay, the relevancy factor is gone. Now we have a whole new generation of people who are waking up over the last 5 years and go, look, we don't trust the experts. And also, by the way, when we start looking into what the experts are saying, what they're saying is kind of bullshit anyways. And wait the fuck a minute. What do you mean about evolution? What do you mean by all these things? No, fuck you. You know what? I don't believe in this stuff. And what are you going to do? How are you going to make me believe in it, asshole? Like, what are you going to do? Force it? Like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to believe it just to fuck with you.
Yeah, like you get
now,
once you get caught lying on something, and you, I'm thinking like kind of the royal you here.
Right.
The expert class, the aristocracy, the media, the landed media class, they've been caught lying on enough things now that there's this pattern that's developing, and people are beginning to recognize that you have the media class, you have the academic class, you have the cathedral. The cathedral is being laid bare. This is what's happening. YARVIN identified it long ago. He identified it. He laid it all out. And you can beef all you want about he didn't call it a synagogue. Of course he didn't call it a synagogue because it needs to be marketable. He calls it the cathedral. He identifies it. People start talking about it. And in the course of people talking about it and discussing it and it gradually working its way up through the social conversation classes, eventually you get to a point where everybody starts seeing it. And once everyone starts seeing the cathedral, the thing that YARVIN called the cathedral, that there is this sort of distributed class of high priests, self-appointed high priests, who lie about everything. And these are craven lies that are hurting people and that are just basically just designed to amass power for their social class. So once you start seeing that, like, these lies are proliferating all over among this class, well, what other things does this class believe? What are their and I'm not even saying in like a deep analytical philosophical sense, more just like, what are the core values of this class? Because these people are full of shit. They're all over the place. They're constantly lying. They're constantly making up, fabricating stories and playing these more and more flagrant, just power games. There's no decency. There's no morality here. This is just craven Game of Thrones style power politics. And yet they claim this high moral ground, this decency. Oh, we're the civilized, enlightened, end of history Fukuyama brain folks. Once that class gets caught in enough lies, then the Hobbit class eventually starts to go, you know what? If your worldview is producing all of these lies, all of this gayness in the anus, I say, if that's happening, well, I'm inclined to just reject everything about your worldview. What other things do you hold dear? What, evolution? All right, fuck evolution. And now this doesn't even have to be a rationally considered. People sit down and they compare. You have this list of propositions and this list of propositions, and you go down and you check them. No, it's just like, I don't know, something seems wrong about this. Everything that you believe, speaking of the Dark Elves class, everything that you believe seems tainted with AIDS and horseshit. So I don't want to have anything to do with anything that you believe. So if that means I throw out evolution, if that means I throw out democracy, if that means I throw out women's rights, whatever, anything to not be associated with your class.
Well, it's so I've tried coining the phrase "we're in a crisis of consequences," and I think it's sort of is a nice big umbrella, the big tent of crises, and because that's kind of where we're at, and people are realizing like, wait, okay, so everything we believed in is a lie or based on lies. All the results that you told us this is going to be amazing, great, wonderful, right? Feminism equals GDP, and GDP go up, and GDP equal good. And you're like, yeah, but I'm starving, and I have to make a decision between paying for gas for the car or food this week. I don't give a shit about your GDP. I don't give a shit about your feminism. I don't care about your relevancy. I don't care about your degree. I don't care. Right? Because brass tacks, my life's sucking now. This is part of the who was it? The guy from the Boondocks came out and said that black people in America have used up all their social currency.
That's an old clip too. That was like 15 or 20 years ago.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yeah,
wow.
I'm pretty sure.
So he was off. Yeah, he didn't know that they still had some.
Yeah, they had more than
they
he
had
thought.
Some in reserves. Yeah, but yeah, now it's done. There is no more social currency for this shit. And it's going to start evaporating for a lot of the POC crowd of the intersectional group, and I think that's why the Jews are freaking the hell out, because I realize that a lot of their safety and dependency and reliability and all that stuff relies on people cashing into the whole thing, and the minute they don't, it's gone. There's no getting it back. You might actually have to you might have to go 6 million in one.
Yeah.
Like a real deal one.
Let me make sure that my I don't know if my screen share is still going to work. Hey, it works. Look at that. It's a little wonky, but whatever. It's up. You can see it. So Keir Starmer says settlement in the UK is a privilege that is earned, not a right. And Yarvin says, insane heel turn. Our enemies believe nothing at all. This is both their greatest weakness and their greatest strength. The reason this stands out to me here, number one, Curtis Yarvin is, interestingly, he's got the blue check now. He didn't have a blue check as of like 2 days ago. He is, and I thought that was interesting. Right. He was posting without the blue check, and now he has it. One of us. One of us. So the reason this interests me is this is something we were talking about yesterday. That there's two.
Sorry. FB informant says Keir is based, Labor is based. AA predicted this.
Yeah, right. Well, honestly, I think if there's one thing that AA has been right about, he has identified this phenomenon about the so-called establishment parties, that they do function this way. They do have this tendency to, as I'm trying to move the screen around here and it's just not cooperating. They are craven power brokers. And what Yarvin is identifying here is that this fact that they are craven power brokers, as they are, no principles, they're amoral. Like at the moment they sense that the winds are shifting, they will happily just pivot on a dime and hold the exact opposite position, because they're not operating from a principled position. And this is something we were discussing yesterday, and I was like, oh, maybe I could spurg out a little bit about Jungian cognitive functions. And I won't abuse you guys in such a way, but I'll just dabble, just a taste. You have these two different cognitive functions. One of them is there's thinking, the cognitive function of thinking, which is like this is Jungian stuff, so it's all like woo, but it's like thinking is like the process of rationalizing and evaluating things dispassionately. It's like the cold rationalization process, as distinct from what he calls feeling, which is feeling is more like the more carnal, instinctive vibe nature. And then the thinking process has two different expressions. It has what's introverted and what's extroverted. And this doesn't mean like introverted is shy and extroverted is outgoing. This is more scientific, technical usage of introverted versus extroverted. And what it is focus on the self, operating from the self frame, where you begin with the starting point of yourself, and then you try to organize everything else to orbit around yourself, versus yourself is fluid and everything else gets organized, and you move yourself to adapt to the things that are moving around you. So it's a matter of frame. There's two inverted frames here. And what the libs here are doing, like Starmer, is you view the external machinations of power, the cultural things that are happening or whatever, and you recognize the trends that are going in whatever way they're going, and then you just adapt yourself and you figure out how to fit into them on a purely pragmatic basis. And then your principle is power. And whatever is going to yield you more power is the thing that you pursue. And the tendency that the hobbits tend to have, to use Yarvin's framing, is they approach politics like, I'm going to figure out what's the best form of politics that touches my heart the most, that makes the most sense to me, and then I'm going to figure out how to brute force this on all the different variables around me. And it's not that you can't do politics that way, it's that to do politics that way requires an absolutely immense amount of political capital. Keir Starmer has an immense amount of political capital. He has less than he used to, and his class in particular is spending down their capital because their capital formation mechanisms have been subverted. But speaking more broadly and generically, the effective power political operator is not sitting back and conceiving of some particular presuppositions or principles that they can follow and then figuring out how to move the parts of the machine to fit those things. The effective power political operator is seeing how things are and just seamlessly fitting himself into it in such a way that the passing of events is going to accord more and more political power to him.
Think about it this way, right? So Trump famously just met with the new Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney. And Mark Carney kind of stammered out, was like, oh, Canada's not for sale. And Trump was like, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how, it's just time, right? And this is, I'm quoting Trump on this. He's like, lots of times people told me I couldn't have something and couldn't be done. And then give it a bit of time and it gets done. Here's the thing that Trump is doing with a lot of his tariffs and all these other things. We've talked about sucking in USD, reshoring USD and all these material things. The other thing that Trump's doing, he's reshoring American power, both soft and hard. And he's making his opponents spend assets and power like crazy in reaction to him. And every time Starmer does one of these little pivots, it costs him more power.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got to then talk to his base and talk to this and talk to that, and other people start noticing, and cracks get formed. But if it's working, it's fine. But Starmer and co has got to keep making new plans, new things, right? Like they're having to get together and make new discussions. Government doesn't move quickly; it moves slowly. It's a Leviathan for reasons, a big giant fucking sea monster. And yeah, it might always swim left, but it's fucking slow. So if you're making your opposition have to change and pivot all the time, when they can't really change and pivot without looking like fucking assholes and spending shit tons of political power and assets to get it done, then you're bleeding them. You're sucking in all their power and all their prestige, all their validation is going bye-bye. So then when you really hit them with something big, they won't got none. Right? Mm-hmm. The Alberta separating from Canada. Will they do it? Will they won't do it? I don't know. Separations, I was born and raised in Quebec in between two referendums. I know exactly what separation talks and stuff like that are like in Canada with a province. but it's messy and it's complicated, and I don't know how if it will actually work. But you know what's going to make Mark Carney have to do? Spend a lot of political capital.
And there's a dual meaning to this here. It's true in both like a economic financial sense and in a metaphysical sense. So if you guys listen to Tom Luongo, if you don't listen to Tom Luongo, then what the hell are you doing? Go listen to Tom Luongo. But he's made this point in the financial sense, like the geopolitical, financial, economic sense. He's said he's described how the formation of the Eurodollar system and all of the European banking, all the European banking families, the system of financialization and global trade and keeping the shipping lanes open and skimming off VIGs and all this sort of thing. The whole structure of the global financial system as it has been constructed is essentially so that these power operators, these power political powers, power political institutions are capable of generating a return without ever actually putting their asset base at risk. So they've been able to wall off their asset base in a financial sense, and they create these financialization schemes and derivatives that they can then use to through usury and whatever else to skim off their VIG. And this is what then they can spend that. So it's kind of like you have your income generating property, and you're able to protect your property so that the actual property itself is never put at risk, and you're just gambling with you're gambling with leveraged bets on the property. Well, eventually people will wise up to your scheme, and they back you into a corner, into a position where you now have to actually start cashing out your actual assets. You're having to dip into your actual capital base. You're no longer playing with the derivatives market. You're having to actually put your capital at risk. You have to spend it down. And when you spend political capital, you as a rule, you want to spend political capital only when you can do it in a way that will return you more political capital than what you spent. But if you find yourself in a position where you're starting to spend down that base, like the balance is starting to go down in the direction of zero, not necessarily, I'm not saying that they're nearing zero, but in the direction of zero, that's a bad thing. That means that there's a breach in the wall. There's a leak somewhere. You don't have this hermetically sealed asset base anymore. Someone has hacked in, and they're beginning to siphon it out. So this is happening in the financial sense, on the geopolitical economic level, but it's also happening in the metaphysical sense. So Starmer making a move like this is brilliant power politics. He's outflanking his opposition to the right, but he's doing it in a way that's going to maintain his power base for a short period of time, but at the expense of the long term. In the long run, he's in the age of the internet and the 24/7 commentariat. You can't make this sort of completely radical pivot like this without it just leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. Something that's gonna build up and develop. Like, ideally, you don't want to be in the position. This is a sign of weakness. If you have to suddenly pivot and try to outflank your enemies to on their own positions, that's a sign of political weakness. You shouldn't be in a position where you have to be a total public hypocrite like that in such a blatant way. You're spending down political capital. You're compromising trust, and people are like, okay, well, I'll take this. If you're gonna start sending the Browns away and start improving the situation on the ground, then okay, cool.
But they're
I'll
not
take it.
going to do that.
Right.
They're not going to do that.
They're not going to do it, and they're, in saying that they're going to do it, they're compromising their believability, their credibility. So they're actually spending into that asset base. So this is happening on like a political metaphysical level, and it's happening on a financial level, and these are mirroring each other.
Hang on a second. I just have to go get a beer and hit the head, so I'll throw it over to you for a second. Shout out to Alan. I want to say your last name, Alan. Alan, you sent me 45 cents. Appreciate you, brother. So, After the cut, I got 13 cents AUD. You know, just $30 more.
$29.87.
Yeah, about $36 more, and we'll hit our goal. Appreciate you guys. I'm hoping, Alan, that was a mistake. If not, go fuck yourself.
I don't even know. How did they possibly send 80? What was it? 87 cents?
45 cents. 45 cents AUD. Which would be even like less than if it was sent in Australia. I don't even know what is the currency sent in originally, but if you send it in USD, it would be like 25 cents USD.
You should just go down to the 7-Eleven with that and be like, "Hey, could you just like light a cigarette and let me take a hit off of it?" I've got 47 cents or whatever it is.
No, I got only 13 cents because like.
So what that is, so he needs to smoke the whole cigarette until it's just down to a nubbin down at the bottom just before it hits the filter, and then let you take that last really raw hit.
No, just let me lick it. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. Okay, let's bang it out with the chat here for a little bit while we're waiting for Jason to get back. We've got a few other things we're going to get into today. We got a couple of YARVIN tweets we want to talk about. And then there's this article. We'll read a little bit of it at least from Scott Alexander, titled "Moldbug Sold Out." We're gonna read that and react to it a little bit. I don't think we might get through the whole thing. We'll see. Jason and I both have a kind of have a heart out, so it's a fairly long article. Yeah, there's no fucking way we're reading this. Not Jason and I. There is no way. But we'll read some of it. We'll get some highlights out of it. Let me see what else I had here. I already talked about that there. Okay, yeah, I don't want to get into this just yet until Jason gets back. So, we will chit chat with the chat here. Let me see what you guys are saying. A super chat, $2 from Hermetica Gemini. He says, "Hermetically sealed asset base, powerful stuff." I see what you did there, sir. HH is in the chat for Hermetica Gemini. $29.87 from random username. It's good to see you, buddy. He says laughs. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And once again, thank you to everybody yesterday for the massive outpouring of Streamlabs tip love. That was incredible. I did not expect that, and I'm very, very touched, very humbled.
Matt needs to buy a new computer every week, so just
yeah, that's right. I'm gonna buy a computer, and then I'm gonna be like, "Oh man, looks like I need a new computer. This one's not working. Can you guys hook me up?"
It just keeps happening. I don't know why.
The super chat sound effects aren't playing. You know what, Slutty Milk? Of course they aren't. Of course they aren't. Why would they? Why would they actually?
Okay, so let's go back to the original question, though. Did YARVIN sell out? What are your initial thoughts here, Matthew?
Well, my very first thought, we were talking about this yesterday, is like, leaving aside the question of whether he did or didn't, why does it matter? What's the, run me through like the thought process here? Like, YARVIN sold out. So YARVIN, like what impact does this have on you? Why is this a bad thing? You, the hypothetical person who's upset that YARVIN sold out. And like in this case, there's Richard Hanania and Scott Alexander, who are obviously degenerate shitlibs. But there's also lots of our guys, so to speak, who have been saying this sort of thing for a long time. Whether it's because he's a Jew or because he dared to suggest that the adorable right-wing chud might be a hobbit, might be a humble creature that needs to recognize his current social status as a simple, humble chud-like creature.
Well, he was hanging out with, who was that tranny, not really tranny, who's now gone back to being a guy now?
Oh, Pariah the Doll.
Pariah the Doll. Because remember when Pariah the Doll got on like Men's World and like that whole thing. Like, look, there's like the dissident right scenesters. This is how the dissident rights got messy. Like basically the whole idea of James Lindsay calling the woke right. The woke right is James Lindsay trying to trying to gatekeep the dissident right. And the dissident right is this hodgepodge of people online that goes everywhere from Curtis Yarvin and Nick Land to like wingnats, and even like certain gripers would be kind of loosely affiliated with that. There's no litmus test for what you need to be that thing, right? It's just like you just have to be anti-liberal. That's the general thing. And then, you know, it's better if you're smarter. But if you know, here's your reading list. For a while there, it was just like, have you read your reading list of approved books? Okay, good. Now you have this conversation. That's it. You know, there's Pete Quinona is obviously Thomas 77, Curtis Yarvin, Nick Land, Orrin McIntyre. The list goes on. So that's what Lindsay and co are afraid of, because that's what's coming up behind them, and that's who's going to take over the new media sphere. And I do believe that's true. Mm-hmm. Orrin McIntyre has every single pedigree available to be a big name player, right? Like, should be up. He'll be on Joe Rogan at some point, for sure. You know, there's a few people in our sphere who I can go. They'll no, not me, right? But like, there's tons of other people who should be there, and talking to Tucker and all that stuff. Buck Johnson, I think, would fit into that world very easily. Mm-hmm. There's a few people that just have that thing, and they deserve to be there. I'm just hoping that they mention my name occasionally, publicly or privately.
Vengeful Son.
That's all I need. Yeah, Vengeful Son. Just make them say it, and just direct some traffic over here. I'm good, right? But I'm serious. What's interesting for me is that over the last 5 years of being involved in that group, there's subgroups that are splitting up, and really the subgroups in the dissident right seem to be more concentrated around religion than anything else. It's like you have the Catholics, you have the Protestants, you have the Orthodox, and then you have the nons. And that, or even worse than the nons, you have the people who I started reacting to last year, which is like the neo-pagans, and you know, a lot of that kind of silliness. That's where I find it gets disturbing, because those guys are getting into the scenester, the more scenester kind of ish stuff, and that scenester thing is where it gets murky. But it's also probably where that group is what's going to popularize this thinking. Like, and Curtis is part of that scenester stuff. There's a lot of Jews who are dissident right, who are part of that scenester stuff, and that's where people start having some questions, and I think that's legitimate, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, if you're going to be speaking for us, right, air quotes, then shouldn't you be careful what you say? But again, Curtis has been very vocal about this, saying like, don't call yourself a dissident. Like, why? You know, he doesn't. I guarantee you, Curtis doesn't give a flying fuck about the dissident right, or whatever fucking group you are part of. He'd be like, yeah, cool, whatever. Have you bought my Substack subscription? If not, screw off. I don't care. Like, it's laughable. Oh, and also update. Thank you, Alan. Alan has redeemed himself. I think it was I got the $44 AUD.
So it was supposed to be $45, and he accidentally did 45 cents.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
okay.
That's what I figured. That's why I called him out for it. Just like, I'm like, pretty sure that was a mistake. But if not, go fuck yourself.
Thank you for giving me money.
But I appreciate you, Alan. Yeah. Yeah. No. But no. Yes. Since it was obviously corrected, I appreciate you. Thank you. I will be leaving to get cigarettes, and I'll be coming back. So. But I won't do it just right away.
We got another super chat, $5 from Nicholas Bauman. He says, talking about hobbits makes me think that we all need to be Luke Smith maxing. Do you know who Luke Smith is?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. If you would, tell us who Luke Smith is. Let me test this real quick. I changed an audio setting. Let me see if this will work.
I'm gonna come.
Did you guys hear it that time? Did the super chat alert thing actually work that time? Luke Smith is a Linux guy. Oh, okay. Interesting. It worked that time. Okay, good. Excellent. Let's see here. So you asked if okay, so when I this whole the entire premise here, like Yarvin sold out. Yarvin is a sellout. Oh, you can't trust Yarvin. Yarvin's not your guy. You know, Yarvin's a Jew. Yarvin talks to trannies. Yarvin is you know, he's a State Department guy. It's his dad was in the State Department, and I don't give a shit about any of that. Why should I care about any of that? Like, make the case to me why that should matter to me. I'm not like I'm not swearing my fealty to Curtis Yarvin, and if he sells out, then that means I'm enslaved to whomever he sells out. Curtis Yarvin is an interesting guy who says interesting things, and has an insightful look at the world. And I think that the stuff that he says is interesting. Why do I care if he sold out? Like, I'm before we even get into the conversation of did he sell out or did he not sell out, I need to understand why I should care. Why does this matter? Why does it matter if he did or didn't sell out? I'm interested in what he has to say. I think he's interesting. I like his writing style. If he doesn't share my worldview, why do I care? If he's changing what he says because somebody's giving him money, why do I care? I'm just evaluating what he's saying. So if he's just parroting what someone else wants him to say, okay, I don't care. It's interesting or it's not interesting. It's true or it's not. It's good analysis or it's bad analysis. Who gives a shit if somebody's paying for it? Like, this whole thing is very, he's not our guy. He's not our guy. Did you hear what he said? He said that thing. He dared say that thing. Did you know that he's a Jew? If you listen to him, you're going to be infected by his Jewishness. Like, what the fuck? Are you like a 12-year-old girl? And this is like lunchroom drama. Like, did you hear what Caitlyn said? Caitlyn and her boyfriend, they were like doing I don't give a shit. I'm interested in what he has to say. Why do I care whether he's a sellout or not?
Matt, do you remember? I brought this up, I think, before, but I went off the deep end angry, and I'm a guy who's always pretty angry. That's my secret. I'm annoyed constantly, irritable. But I went like DEFCON 12 angry. Like, if I had a nuclear button, I would press it. When Trump gets elected, Elon Musk on X is telling everyone, you're the media now. The dissident right has for like a year and a half has been picked up and broadcast by prominent figures. Everyone's reading the same books. It looks like, hey, there's coordination here. There are guys in our group, right? I won't mention names. But guys who are poised to like take the ball and fucking start running and hitting touchdowns. And what happens? They start talking about wife jack. Swear to God, Matt, like I had an aneurysm.
You did. I can confirm.
I recorded an episode with Paul Fahrenheit. Sorry, Paul, for this. I had to delete it. I couldn't put it out because it was honest. And when I re-listened to it, it was just me swearing for about an hour and a half of just going, fucking white jack. Like the fucking, like just flipping tables. Poor Paul. Invite him on to talk about some things. I'm like, and then another thing, Paul. And then they did that. Fuck these guys. And I lost it because I was like, you've been given the most, like, how much more do you have to be given? You've been given everything and you're refusing to take it because you want to play safety because now you've cucked yourself. This whole, like, I become so neo-reactionary and so reactionary that I need someone to do something first. I can't move until you move. And I need someone else to move so then I can do something. That's been the whole problem of that side. I think this is why they don't like Yarvin. Because Yarvin actually comes up with new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll speak personally. Coming up with new ideas or presenting new things to a group that doesn't want that, especially the dissident right. They don't want new ideas. They don't want from unapproved people. Right? They want their little groups. They want their little validation, and anything that falls outside of that little pre-approved little fucking thought circle jerk is no, not allowed.
Yeah, they want to see powerful people saying the things that they like to hear.
It's libertarian brain,
which is fine. Like, it's fine to want powerful people to. I want to hear powerful. I like it when powerful people say the things I want to hear, but they have this insistence upon. Yeah, it is libertarian brain totally, because it's like the next step in the process is okay. This powerful person is saying something I want to hear, but. Or there is a person who has said things I want to hear, and now they're amassing power and influence, like, you know, YARVIN, hypothetically here. But then the next thing becomes, oh, well, can I trust that person? Can I trust that person? Maybe he's tricking me. Maybe this is a propaganda campaign designed particularly for me. I'm the one that this massive propaganda campaign is conceived for. Tony Blair sits up at night and tries to figure out how to trick me. And you know what? He's not going to do it. I'm too smart for him. You see, Yarvin's a Jew, and that's how I know. Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Look at me. I'm so smart. Why do people pay me for being so smart? I guess I'll just go yell at 34 people on Twitter.
No, and look, and to give them their due, I think Tony Blair is involved with people who do have long range planning. But I think when you start to see what their plans are, they're not that complex, and
Right.
they kind of just tell you them well in advance, and they're kind of one trick ponies. Like, Tony Blair wants digital ID. Okay, he said it. He wants it. It's going to happen. Okay? Now, I don't know why. Probably because some digital ID company is paying him a shit ton of money. It's the same reason why a lot of these guys got on to, Uncomfortable Truth and, carbon credits and all this stuff, because they don't know. They don't care. Like, when you look at the standard politicians of your country, and I don't care where you are in the West, any of these people, and go down the list, how many actual ideologues do you think are on there? Maybe a few. The vast majority of these people just say what is required of them to say to get paid by their people. Or, they got hired, they had a little meeting saying, you're going to do all this, and that on the back end, then you get a speaking tour. We're going to make sure we're going to take care of you. Don't worry. Maureen Williams was just on Tim Pool. Very rare point when I'll give Tim Pool a nod of the hat. I think it's Maureen Williams.
Marianne Williamson.
Marianne Williamson, thank you. And he baited her into it. He's like, so
yes.
if maybe you can say it better, Matt, but essentially he's like, well, if a judge would basically say, he
was like, what would you? They were talking about like criminal justice, and he said, imagine if you had, just hypothetically, if you had a case where the judge said, where there was a petition for an unbiased jury to move to a different what's the term? Not jurisdiction, but a different venue for the case, because it wasn't possible to get an unbiased jury here. And what if the judge said, well, there's nowhere that you could go where there's an unbiased jury, so we're just going to proceed with it as is here. And she was like, oh, well, no, that would just be a travesty. Of course I wouldn't support that. That's not, and there would be people who would be challenging that. And basically she was like, oh, the system would take care of that. Nothing like that would ever actually happen. And he said, but if that did happen, then what? And she was like, oh yeah, I would totally be just advocating that person be like, this is completely unjust, and I would be totally opposed to that. And he said, okay, so are you going to be advocating for a pardon for Derek Chauvin?
And you see your face go, oh shit.
She literally like eyes widen, mouth drops, and she goes like this.
Yeah.
And then she like she goes like loading circle here for
Right. Well, wait, no, but that was an exceptional case. Hang on, that was an
Yes.
exceptional. That was an exceptional case.
She goes,
Exceptions.
well, we all saw the video, you know. So what the judge was saying was that everyone saw the video. So there really wasn't another place where you would be able to get an unbiased jury, because all of us saw the video.
Right.
So
almost like
she just
almost like
pivoted.
almost like showing the video was a miscarriage of justice. And since
Yeah.
you showed that video and you pressed it to such a degree, it would mean that he would be an automatic mistrial.
Yes.
Because there's no way he could ever get a fair trial, a jury trial at least.
Yep.
By with that video being out there like that, with his identity attached to it. And here's the crazy thing, right? Because this is all coming down to there might be he might be getting a
Federal pardon. Mm-hmm.
What's crazy is this: we know that the reason why that happened was they were looking for an inciting incident to set off that summer. They had tried doing it a month before. Remember the black jogger who got shot?
Yeah, Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah, but because the guys were in a truck and they shot him, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they're like, "Oh, that was supposed to be it, right? It was supposed to be the summer of was his name Aubrey?
Ahmaud Arbery, yeah.
It was going to be the summer of Aubrey, but then as the story kept unfurling itself, they're like, kind of hard to explain why the guy was jogging through a construction site because
casing homes.
Yeah,
he was jogging.
That's called
Timbs.
casing.
Yeah. He was wearing like unlaced Timbs, and yeah, he was jogging in those. That's what he was doing.
Right. So like
jogger. Yeah.
They had to drop that one.
I think that's where
like,
I think that's where the jogger euphemism came from. I think it was from that we have scholars, we have what else do we have? We have like rogue SUVs. What are the different euphemisms that we have? I think the jogger euphemism came from the Ahmaud Arbery case.
Yeah. And then they were priming it up before that too, where there was lots of stories. The original I Can't Breathe guy was the guy who was selling cigarettes, like loose cigarettes on the corner in New York, and then and the cops grabbed him and he resisted and they wrestled him to the ground. And he was fat and he couldn't breathe. And I think he died or he had to go to the hospital or something like that.
Yeah.
That was the original I Can't Breathe. And then there was lots of stories about cops in, I think, New York or wherever, putting people in the back of vans, but not securing them.
Yeah,
then,
that was another
driving
chick
recklessly.
who died. Yeah.
Right. Allegedly. Oh, right. And there was the woman, there was a black chick they were trying to, I think they were going to try to do the story around too. Who got killed in gunfire in a house, but then that turned out to be super sketchy. So they're like, damn these black people. Why can't they be a good paragon black person dying? Like we need black Jesus. It can't be Black Judas. We need Black Jesus.
Wait, what's that? It doesn't exist. Oh no.
Right. And then they got Floyd, and it was perfect. Because they just were able to they were able to shove the fentanyl thing away because the video was enough. The video was big enough, and even Joe Rogan was like, "Whoa, geez, look at that! That looks awful," and it did. It looked bad, but then again, I'd ask you what would you do if you were in a situation where you had to wrestle down a 6'5" large black man who was high on fucking drugs?
Yeah, he literally did the thing that he was trained to do, like at the police academy. Right. In that situation, that's what he's trained to do. This reminds me, there was when I was just scrolling through Yarvin's timeline to grab a couple of tweets for us to talk about. There was one on George Floyd, and I'm trying to find it here. He made an interesting point that the fact that his name was George, he has a Christian name. He said that he suspects that that's part of the reason. Oh, right here. So he said, unpopular opinion, but I'm convinced that his Christian name played a huge part in the mimetic success of global George Floydism. Suppose he switched names with his brother. His brother's name is Philonise. Suppose he switched names with his brother. Could he still go big in Berlin? Would it play in Paris? Justice for Philonise Floyd. I can't breathe.
There's my just shift. Philo down to Philo. Me and Philo down by the schoolyard.
And I think, you know, like this here is there's one thing with Yarvin that I think a lot of people don't get his voice when he writes because he's deeply ironic and sarcastic, and absolutely among the dissident right world, autism and inability to pick up on social cues does reign supreme. So I think there's a lot of people who genuinely don't pick up on his tongue-in-cheekness.
I'll tell you here's what's weird. The dissident right, I think, okay, Curtis Yarvin, Nick Land, Peter Thiel, I'll put his name in there, okay, and a few others, even Elon Musk, right? Like they're kind of occupying that sphere. They're all Gen X, like myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Yarvin is deeply Gen X, in his style and in his mannerisms and his outlooks.
Mm-hmm. The leather jacket with the white T-shirt and
yeah. I'd rock that look. I look at that. I'm like, oh, that looks cool, man. That's you have to be a Gen Xer for that. It's very it's our own little boomers, but okay, we're kind of like they're writing for a Gen X audience. It's a Gen X. It's like that iconoclastic, fuck you, like, you know, oh, you think this is good? I'm going to tell you why it's not good, asshole, right? Like kind of mentality. It's Tom Luongo. It's me. It's like that aggressive, like we want to fucking fight. Let's fight. Let's fuck you. Let's fight it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that kind of mentality, and you can use it with intelligence or civic wit. Like there was something about like the dozens on the playground was a big thing with Gen X, right? Like being able to own someone on the playground, right? Being by verbally, if not by fist, was also valuable. Trading barbs, trading references. There was like all like these really kind of high like cultural card games, like mental card games, linguistic card games. That's what this whole thing is for. And I think when it gets to a more millennial audience, they both appreciate it, but also freaked out by it. It doesn't hit the same way for all millennials. And I think I can see it happening depending on the age of the person criticizing them. I can almost guarantee you, like I understand it. Like it's like, oh, I think you're too young for this. Like it's not really meant for you, in a way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ron Isaac says, I kind of hate Yarvin's writing style. I'm also a midwit. When he talks, he's hilarious, minus the singing stuff he occasionally does. I personally, I understand why some people don't. I personally love Yarvin's writing style because it's to me, reading it is kind of, regardless of what he's writing about. Like, I don't necessarily need to agree with his actual premises or propositions or his arguments, but I can sit and I can enjoy the way he uses language in the same way that, I don't know, I could enjoy someone painting a painting or something like that. Like it's a performance art, and I enjoy that. I appreciate that. I also understand why other people don't. But there was something else that somebody said in here. TC back here, everyone's saying they're listing off all the different black people names. I can't get back to it.
There was a clip there where someone what was it? It's a black woman too saying like how, you know, she just can't invite some urbans to a party, and she used a name like I can't remember what she said, and it was like it was perfect. It was like, yes, That's exactly what we're talking about, right? Like Shawana BB or something like that. And you're like, yeah, yeah.
Well, Emmanuel says, I'm waiting for Matt to sell out so I can blame him for my past, current, and future lack of action and faith. Well played, sir. The Iceman says, so Richard Spencer is your leader? No. So Curtis Yarvin is your leader? No. Exactly. Like, this is, well, let me see if I could, this actually ties in perfectly with the thing I'm trying to find here from TC. He mentioned the Red Scare girls and basically said like he thinks they like he loves them. He thinks they get a bad rap, and I'm the same way. Like I've listened to them before. Like I get their bit. I get the thing that they're doing. They're doing a bit, and you can enjoy that bit, or you can say, that bit's not for me. But the sort of unhinged. I don't know if hate is overused, but that's really what it is. Just like unhinged hate for these various different people is I don't understand. How do you people manage to rally up the emotion to get so worked up about a couple of chicks who do a podcast? There's a couple of chicks, they do a podcast together and they do a bit and they have their little cultural milieu that they like. And maybe you don't like that cultural milieu. Maybe that's not your thing. You don't want to be a part of that cultural milieu. Okay, fine. Don't be. But why are you dedicating so much of your brain space to being angry about a couple of chicks doing a podcast?
I'll tell you how it works. It's the same thing with the men's world thing, right? I don't pay attention to the men's world thing. I don't. There's lots of things in the distant right that sometimes like Pry the Doll and all that. So I had no idea, until somewhere last year where people were kept like mentioning it, and I was like, what? Who is this? And then I found out, I'm like, I don't care. Why would I care? It's the same thing with a lot of AA's like sphere. Like there's another tranny in there too and stuff. I don't know. I don't care. Who are these people? Fuck off. But people want to identify so much with something. They want meaning. Mm-hmm. They're in a quest for meaning. So give me meaning from something. So I'm part of this thing online. I want validation and I want meaning. And I want to feel like I'm not just part of something, but I'm recognized. I'm seen.
Yes. Yep.
And this is where you get in these purity spirals. Because if it's not, I'll give you a perfect example. In 1998, I went to see The Phantom Menace, right? I was a big Star Wars fan. And by that point, I was in my early 20s. And my friend Aaron and I stood outside at this movieplex in this blazing hot sun in the parking lot, the big giant lineup to get good seats to see The Phantom Menace. Because, oh my God, prequels of Star Wars. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And we went and saw it, and I was like, fuck, that sucked. And I went back to see it another time, and I was like, it still fucking sucks. But then I realized something in the second replay, when I was watching it the second time, I was like, it's just not meant for me. Like, it's not, this is a Star Wars movie. It's kind of has stuff there that's supposed to appeal to me, but it's not really meant for me because I'm a 20.
Uh-oh. He disappeared on me. Jason! No! Come back! I didn't do anything this time. I wasn't even touching anything.
I'm a white guy, and I'm ready to kill.
We'll see if he jumps back in here. A $5 super chat, or $5 tip, Streamlabs tip, from Hermetic Hegemony. You too can leave a Streamlabs tip at tips.kingpill.com. Hermetic Hegemony says, Yarvin praised merit of sovereigns subjected to Jesus. While building your autarky, be sure to submit to the King of Kings. No matter what, you'll be dust too. Imperfect, that doesn't make you uniquely free of responsibility. Plant a tree. King's orders. You guys heard it. Plant a tree. Hold on, I'm waiting to see if you jump back in. Do I need to refresh anything? No, I think I'll just let me check to see if I have a DM from the man. The Gremlins. Okay, so he's going to get smokes. He'll be back. All right, we will just occupy the time while he is gone. I don't have a scene set up here where it's just me on the screen and it looks good. So we're just gonna go with it looking kind of funky right now. Okay, what was I gonna say? Oh, so there was something in here. FB informant said, one time I tuned into Red Scare, they were talking about eating dudes' assholes. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I've listened to like 2 episodes of theirs, and I found them entertaining. I thought it was fun. I just have limited bandwidth for listening to stuff. But I mean, okay, let me bear with me for a sec here. I'm going to illustrate a thing. Let me go find this tweet. It does seem that dropping everything down to 720 instead of 1080 was the move, because I'm not getting any frames dropping alerts. How has the quality been on your guys' end, apart from Jason disappearing and the alert audio not working and all of that? Leaving that aside, is the stream quality holding up? So a little bit ago when Jason joined in with me, I was testing some video stuff, and when he jumped on it, unfortunately he couldn't hear this. This was it would have been so funny because of the timing when he actually jumped in. I was dying laughing, and then he couldn't hear it, so it was just a joke that I got to appreciate for myself. But I'll see how much I can do to replicate it here for you. So here's this video from Sam Hyde, and man, why's the it's all like off center and okay, hold on a sec, guys. I don't know why the other tweets were not off center, but this one is off center. That will bother me. It looks tacky, so we're going to update our shit here in real time. This is one of the nice things, is being able to make these sorts of adjustments to there's lots of modifications and everything you can do with Streamlabs, which is nice that you can do, but it also means you have to do it. Okay, so this is Sam Hyde just posted this $1 Million Extreme presents Extreme Peace official trailer. And there is one particular part in this video that will stand out to you, particularly given the context, where I said, I read what FB Informant said about the Red Scare girls talking about eating dudes' assholes. There's one particular part in here, but let me contrast this. So I'm assuming from the way you're presenting this that you were not impressed when you tuned in and heard them talking about eating dudes' assholes. So we'll contrast these two things. Let's watch this video. I'm also doing this because I want to test streaming a video through Chrome with everything at 720 and see if things start spazzing out.
Hey, yo, that food coming ain't seasoned right, I might have to go back in that kitchen and bust a few chefs' heads together, you know what I'm saying? Knock a nigga out. Where's my shit spicy, nigga? Open your legs!
Oh, hey, Alex, next time we get a fucking actor, can we not get one that has his fucking brain scrambled?
Better have something better than hot dogs at the prom, otherwise there's gonna be a school shooting.
Welcome back!
All right, welcome back!
Allow me to introduce you to a little top secret something here.
I'm tired of being treated like a slave!
What? No, hell no! So I don't give a fuck what you do, but you gotta pay me!
Oh, really?
So you're down in your truck. You gonna be around?
Yeah, I mean, I have to take a break in between. Spotlight all the time for me!
My whole life I've been getting ass raped by this, and I've gotten nothing.
Daddy number 1, please describe your pussy eating technique.
That's the moment that he jumped in. Jason pops up on the screen as he grabbed the link, he clicked it, he pops up on the screen just in time for that to play. And I thought that was the first thing that he heard, and I was in tears laughing about it. And then he was like, what's happening? I can't tell what you're watching. I don't know what you're hearing. And I was like, oh, that would have been so perfect to jump in just in time to hear that.
Number 1, Please describe your pussy eating technique.
So just start out slow and then go deeper. Tell you what a good little girl you were. Kind of has like the consistency of like yogurt. Yo.
Yeah, right.
Now, obviously, having a couple of extreme vocal fry foids talking about eating dudes' assholes is different than Sam Hyde and MDE talking about such things. I can't even. I'm a good little Christian boy. I can't even say such things out loud. But you know, they're doing a thing. Like the same thing with the Red Scare girls. They're doing a thing. It is what it is. I just don't. There's a lot of people out there that I really don't like. I really don't have any respect for, and I see their stuff on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, and I'm just like, just disgusted. But I don't. You got to be able to see that. I'm going to hold myself up as the brilliant, enlightened example as I whack my microphone here. You should be like me. When you see those sorts of people, you should go, huh, that's yucky. I don't like that. And then think about something else. Just move on. This whole, like, every single time the subject comes up and you're like, oh, you have to, Red Scare girls, Dime Square, BAP, whatever it is. Don't let these people, if these people affect you that way, don't let them occupy your brain space. You just don't need to have an opinion about them. I don't like him. Okay, that's it. That's fine. YARVIN. Yeah, I don't care for him. I don't trust him. Okay, cool. That's fine. But this whole like YARVIN's a sellout. YARVIN's trying to trick you. YARVIN's part of an op. He's part of an op. He's coming to capture your brain. He's gonna trick you. He's gonna tell you things, and you're gonna believe it, and it's just gonna like take over your brain. And Peter Thiel's paying him. And did you know Peter Thiel is gay? Peter Thiel is gay, and he pays YARVIN, and YARVIN's a Jew, and they. What about like interesting people say interesting things sometimes? And you can read them or listen to them and be like, wow, that's interesting. That's cool. That sparked some thoughts for me. That made some stuff make sense to me. There's something I can take away from that. Or, I can't. There's a lot of stuff that YARVIN posts, blogs or whatever. YARVIN puts them out, and I'm like, yeah, and whatever. I wasn't really interested in that. Hold on here. Let me see if I just realized that Jason may need when he tries to get back in again, it may not work right away. So let me. Okay, so it's gonna get smokes and be back. Okay. I don't know for sure if when he comes back, if it's actually going to alert me that he is back. So I'm just going to open up the DMs over here so I see it. What were we talking about? I was spazzing out. Iceman says, we have 1,000 years of our own thinkers. Why do we need one ex-Jewish nerd? Well, I don't know. What if that Jewish nerd is saying things that other people aren't? Saying useful things, identifying things in a way that other people aren't. Because I think he is. I think he does understand the nature of power and express it. Now he writes in he is very Straussian. He's kind of opaque. He is very impressed with his own insightfulness. But I can appreciate someone being impressed with their own insightfulness when they're insightful. I don't get to decide whether or not he is insightful. He just is. And so if he's insightful, okay, cool. He gives you some insights. Take those insights. Use them. Understand what he's saying. If you don't like what he's saying, okay, just go listen to someone else. Life is too short to let your mind be occupied perseverating over the people you don't like. And there is a solipsism that proliferates among the so-called dissident right, where people have gone so far down I really want to open up the soundboard and play a certain sound right now, but I don't want to risk it, so I'm not going to. People go so far down the rabbit hole of conspiracies and like people understand elite theory. I think the takeaway people have from elite theory, particularly within the so-called dissident right world, is I think they a lot of I want to be careful about how I say this. There are a lot of people, a lot of guys within the dissident right world who have wandered into this space, and they are not elites. They are not elite quality. They will never be part of the elite cultural tier, which is fine. Like, you don't have to be. It doesn't make you less of a person. These are just different stratifications of human society. Most of the people who are in the so-called elite tier are really shitty people. So, like, not being an elite isn't a black mark on your character. If anything, it may be the opposite. Being an elite is more likely to be a black mark on your character. But there's a lot of guys who I think they got into elite theory and maybe consciously, maybe subconsciously recognize that they are not, and they are not elites. They don't have what it takes to be elites, never will be, but they don't want to accept the fact that not being elite, not being part of the elite class, means they will be subject to the political power of people who they detest. And that cognitive dissonance is too much for them, because I do think that there is a selection effect for winding up in these, and if you wind up in a circle where people are talking about elite theory and thinking about elite theory and contemplating these sorts of like deep philosophical concepts, then I think you're likely to be high IQ. But just because you're high IQ doesn't mean that you're elite. There's lots of high IQ chuds. There's lots of high IQ retards. Being high IQ and being elite are not correspondent. So I think there's a lot of guys who are high IQ. They're not elite status. They never will be. They will never occupy the elite. They will never be naturally given over toward holding political power. And they've become obsessed with the ideas of elite theory and looking at all the elites and trying to find the elites behind every little corner and nook and cranny, while also grappling with the fact that they are not ever going to be elite themselves. And so they're now motivated by this resentment of, I have to find all the elites and I'm never going to be one of the elites. And I don't want to be one of the elites because the elites suck. The elites are degenerate. The elites are gay, but really deep down inside, I want to be an elite. I want to have political power. I want to crush my enemies. I want to exercise outsized impact over society versus what I do have. And I'm really smart. I'm high IQ. I notice the patterns. I see the things. I understand it all, but nobody will listen to me. And this all translates. It all gets distilled down into this like self-loathing, nihilistic cynicism where they're like, I'm high IQ, but I'm not elite quality. And I resent all of the elites in my society. I don't hold political power. They do. And anybody who begins to hold political power, looks more and more like an elite, and I don't trust the elites, even though I'm obsessed with elite theory, and like all of this stuff combines into a soup that just breaks their brains.
Well, because liberalism. Hi, everyone. You see, you thought I was going to pull your dad, right? Went up for milk, didn't come back. I came back. So, I'm better than your dad. This is the same thing with blaming the boomers, right? Almost every single time I hear someone blaming the boomers, I'm like, right, so you're pissed off the boomers have something that you don't have. You just want what they had. And if you were born in the same conditions that they were, you would just pursue the exact same path and just be as bad as boomers. Your whole it's just resentment politics.
Yes,
it's liberalism. Liberalism produces resentment because it has to. It feeds. It's why liberalism is anti-fragile, because its entire thing is to build resentment against an oppressor. You must liberate yourself from this oppressor. Always, whether the oppressor is literally the horrible no good king, czar, whatever, or religion or something, and then when you liberate yourself past that to a point, you get to something. We have to liberate ourselves against history, against the concepts of oppression itself. This is something that Jay Dyer skewered Not So Erudite with. I don't know if we want to get into that, but one of the points that got brought up, I think it was either Jay or Jim Bob did this with her, where she was forced to admit that feminism had kind of accomplished its goals, that it had equality. Women have equal access to all these markets, but that's not good enough, because really what they really want is equity. But they can't say that because equity is a big bad word. So, and equity kind of proves the point that what they really want is they want it all. It's never good. It's never good enough. It's never enough. That's the feminine spirit. There's your devouring mother. Because it's never good enough, is it? No matter what we give you. Now there's $1 trillion reparations thing being offered by the American Democrats for whatever. Okay, what if you got it? You get your $1 trillion. Will that appease you? No, because they'll spend it all and then go, we want another $1 trillion. We want 5 trillion, 10 trillion. How many trillions do you need? It's never enough. It's never going to be enough. Because liberalism just breeds resentment. And as long as you're doing resentment politics, the sky's the limit, man. Like, how much do you want? Give you everything you want. And then you're going to find something else to bitch and moan about. Oh, we got to liberate ourselves against death. Then against the natural order. It's when you boil it down to a spiritual aspect, it's the only way to look at it, really. Because really what they're warring against is God and the natural order itself. Why don't we get to be God? That's it.
Why don't we get to be elites is like a proxy for that. Why don't we get to be God sentiment?
Yeah. Why don't we just get to do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it? Because in their mind, billionaires are Scrooge McDuck with swing around gold coins, and they just get to do whatever they want. And to an extent, that's kind of true. They do get to do what they want, but what they want to do ultimately is evil. So why would you want that? That's why I called them the merchants of despair. That certain subgroup of them is that with all their money and all their power and all the trillions of dollars at their disposal and everything that they've been given, the only thing they know how to do is just do like porn and human trafficking, like the most base, disgusting stuff out there. It's sad. The more I looked into it, looking into the City of London crowd and all that stuff, that's what really hit me, is that with all this power and wealth, the only thing they actually really know how to do is just sell despair. And it's disgusting. It's evil. It's all the things. Yes, you're right. It's also just sad. Goes into my "you don't live in a civilization anymore" thesis. That in the 90s, you have this end of history, right? The end of Cold War, shit tons of money just being pumped in the system. Like suddenly it's this new this little mini golden age. And what did we do with it? We built strip malls. No great architectural movements, no great epics, nothing. Just, nothing. Nihilism for nihilism's sake. That's where we're at. That's why it feels like it's the end of everything. Because even given all the advantages in the world, all we can do is produce more gray boxes. Oops. It's a major misstep. Thanks again to Alan for the cigarette money. So much better.
I'm wishing I could smoke inside the house. You got me fiending over here. TC says I'm just a simple, humble midwit with a fat dick. That's probably the funniest thing that I'm going to read today.
Is it shaped like this? Is it
the Coke can?
Foreskins are fun.
Red Bull can. Yeah, did you hear that Arby's is woke right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Matt Walsh, eh?
No kidding, man. He is.
We did a friend or friend with him. We did a friend or friend with him back in the day. And I said he was at that time he's a Fed. I still think that. I think the whole Daily Wire crew and all that stuff are all just Feds in their own way. But God bless him for sharing the hidden swastika thing, which I didn't even get too, right? Like it had to be pointed out to me because I was like, what? And people were like, oh, he's sharing swastikas online. I'm like, huh? No, not really.
Did you see what he said about it? He was basically like, yeah, suck it up. Who cares?
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Lick my dick. It's my new one, by the way, folks. I'm no more sucking. Sucking is just so weird, anyways. Like it's so aggressive. Just lick it. Just lick my dick. Just a fucking an ice cream cone.
All right, I think you'll like this tip that Hermetic Hegemony sent right when you left. He said, "Yeah, Yarvin praised merit of sovereigns subjected to Jesus. While building your autarky, be sure to submit to the King of Kings. No matter what, you'll be dust too. Imperfect? That doesn't make you uniquely free of responsibility. Plant a tree. King's orders."
Well, everyone, when you're done this, go onto my channel, Mironchuck Now, and you can find it. I put it out again. I had put it into members only, but I've re-released it. Is my Joe Rogan Friend or Fed, where I had Yarvin on and Pete Codones. And in that talk, I mentioned to Yarvin, because we talk about, order, right? And this idea of reestablishing order and how order is necessary. And this is the precursor to my, what got me to civilizational capital idea. And I tips off to Yarvin. Like a lot of that is based on Yarvin and land. And in that talk, when I said it to him, I was like, we need to substantiate order, and pretty much at this point, any order will do. We shouldn't be so picky about it. We can get once we establish order, then we can have these conversations. But we're in a situation where we don't have it, so it's a 0 to 1 proposition. Where if we don't have it, well, we need it, and then once we have it, then we can start to fuck around with it. But if we don't have it, you don't have it. This is really, I've said this to you, Matt, many times, is that the biggest thing that I pulled from Yarvin, the big red pill of all red pills that Yarvin talked about, was power levels. And this idea that or energy levels, right? It's that you can have power. You can take over the government. You can have all the apparatuses of power. But if you don't have the energy, if you're not producing energy to get the thing done, then it doesn't matter. It's all you have is a storage of power that you can't use, because it's like his idea of formalism, where the king or queen of England technically has all this power, shit tons of power. Formally, informally, they can't use it because conditions. So what good is it? What good is all this power what good is the power of the executive if the executive never wields it? Because they don't have the energy to do it. And the energy, you can bring it down to will or to many other conditions, but it's like if you don't have the energy to produce the result with your power, then your power is meaningless.
It's like having assets on the balance sheet that are written down to zero.
Right. And this again goes into our analogy of like the tariff war, the econ war isn't just a war about money. Money is just a symbol of something. It's a big symbol. It's affects us all in many ways, but it's an artifice. It's a numerical value of power, and you can have all of it, but if you're not doing anything with it, it doesn't matter. It's just dead power. So you got to be able to use it somehow. When Yarvin laid this out in many of his posts, I was like, that to me was the big aha. What are we doing in terms of generating actual real leverage? Do you have it or not? If you don't have it, you need it. And you can bring that down to your personal life. It doesn't have to be political, external. And this is, part of that civilizational capital idea is that if we're generating, so human competency generates capital. This is a Nick Land thing. Whatever humans end up doing competently, they produce capital. So the
white guy, I'm ready to kill.
Example I use is like you take a little small fishing village on the Adriatic or something like that. They get really good at fishing and all things connected to fishing, and they keep investing that human capital into, let's say, fishing. So nets and boats and markets and all the rest of it. And they keep applying that capital as it builds up in many, many different domains. And you go from a small little fishing village to the Portuguese. And I'm very fascinated in that transition. And that's generational. It can take hundreds, maybe thousands of years, even in some cases. But it happens. And it happens so consistently that there's got to be a mechanism in play here. So it's civilization as a startup. The biggest example of this is Singapore. Singapore is a prime example of people who started off in a swamp, literally, like with fucking nothing, and just built up civilizational capital to a point and reinvested it till now you have Singapore. And you can think of all the things you want about Singapore, and that's fine. I don't necessarily say we should live in that situation, but they went from 0 to 1. And now and if you walk around and you see those pictures of Singapore, it looks pretty lovely. Like it's kind of hard to go, well, wouldn't want to live in that. Like with hanging gardens in the fucking airport. Like what? And they did that in under 100 years. So it's not just possible. It's possible on a even a micro scale within what, 2 generations, 3 generations of just successfully. But the game plan has to be, what's your win condition? What do you want? What's your win? So in that conversation I had with Yarvin, I said, any order will do. And he's like, yeah. He's like, look, you're Orthodox Christian. If you woke up tomorrow and lived in a Lutheran society that was running well, just happened to be running as, Lutheranism as the default religion, would you have a problem with that? I'm like, no, because, sure, I have problems with Lutheranism. I have, we can then have those arguments. But if everything else is okay, well, then 99% of the problems are gone. And now we just have a theological discussion, which, yeah, fine, is a thing, but it's not the only thing in the world. Sure.
I'm being Yarvin. There was a super chat here I forgot to read earlier. $2 super chat from Nicholas Bauman. He says, how much do I have to pay for the Paul Fahrenheit stream? You put a price tag on it,
Oh,
Jason? Will you sell it?
No, I deleted it. It was bad. Yeah.
It is gone. It no longer exists. It's been lost into the ether.
As someone else said, I talked with Yarvin under paywall. No, I was as a friend or fed. Go look for Joe Rogan friend or fed on Mironchuck now. It's out there. We had like over, I think it's around 20,000 views. So it's not. It's so I had taken it off when I did the brand change and all the reasons for doing that. We'll get into that. But I've re-released certain little things over time, especially in the friend or fed category, because there's a relaunch of that hopefully happening soon. So
another $1 tip on Streamlabs. Tips.kinkbuild.com if you want to send a tip. It's preferred that you send it through Streamlabs because YouTube takes 30 to 50%. I don't know exactly what it is. It's something like 30 or 50 or 70 or something like that. YouTube takes a huge cut out of Super Chat. So if you'd like to support the show, please do send a tip. Tips.streamlab.com. And also there's a PayPal link in the description for Mr. Mironchuck over here. You can buy him another pack of cigarettes. Hermetic Hegemony tipped $1.
Beer.
And he says, Autist Bros, find something unrelated to political commentary to push on. I feel that. Find something unrelated to political commentary to push on. Join the armed forces, start a family, raise it well. Train your grandkids' work ethic on your farm. Build something real. And this is, by the way, Matt might want to lower the characters for small tips. You know what? I'm a man of the people. If you want to send a small tip, but you want to send a long message, I'll take it. I want to hear your thoughts. Please do. I especially want to hear your thoughts if they're attached to money. Even a little bit of money. I'll take a little bit of money. I could use a little bit of money's
good.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a new goal for Jason. I just sent the link again. PayPal me $15 USD gets me another 6-pack. So
there you go. PayPal link in the description for Mr. Mironchuck. Put him on your payroll. Buy him a beer. Buy him a 6-pack. Buy him 6 beers, and he will angrily rant at the camera for you. That's a specialty.
until I get bumped out again, and I have to come back. I don't know.
This is here's a Yarvin tweet thread that we can do. For whatever reason, I don't understand why he insists upon not threading his tweets properly. He does like this infinite succession of quote tweets, which is just, sir, this is poor Twitter form. But this is reacting to the report. Excuse me. The beer is making me burp. This is reacting to the reporting that after the nominating Matt Gaetz for Attorney General blew up, then the backup plan was to have Pam Bondi play the Attorney General on TV, while Stephen Miller actually ran the department. Yarvin says, "OMG, this is incredibly based." And then he does his quote tweet thing. He says, "Are shadow command hierarchies the future of the executive branch? Discuss." And we're not going to. I mean, if you want to discuss, you can discuss. I wasn't planning on discussing because he has another one. He says the new regime grows top down in breadth first order until it can closely supervise every agency in the old regime. So he's talking about the new regime. And this is interesting language because he at least is identifying that there is a new regime in town. Now, this seems to be a shift for Yarvin because for the first after Trump was elected, between the election and the inauguration and then the first 6 weeks or so, he seemed to be unconvinced that Trump actually had it in him to do whatever it is Yarvin thinks he should do. And he seems to be coming on board, which is, I suppose, understandable because the Trump regime thus far has been rather OP compared to what I expected. So he's saying this new regime, he's identifying there is a new regime, and this new regime grows top down. So you have your figurehead, you have Trump, who then is appointing these people. It's growing top down in breadth first order. So they're trying to cover as much ground as possible. They're getting their people into as many agencies as possible and consolidating the oversight and the execution of those agencies under the executive branch. $5 super chat from Alexander M. He says, visit your local tobacco-friendly lounge. Cigars and pipes change bars from watching people deteriorate to stimulating conversations. God bless. Thank you, sir.
Hey, man, I remember I started off my career bartending and all the rest of it when you could still smoke in bars. And I was the bartender with like 5 or 6 ashtrays behind the bar because I'd start one. And this is back when cigarettes were like fucking $5 in Canada. So like I would just had multiple cigarettes going because you get into conversations and like you're shucking beers and doing all this stuff and just like lighting one up and leaving it there and those were good times. That was when like bar culture was at its peak. I think like really mid to late 90s. If you're too young to remember that time period, that was really when bar culture peaked. And it's been all downhill since then. But I blame corporate establishments for that. But there was still like that vibrancy. Like going out was still like you could go out and have a good time for under $100, you know, and that's with shots, and you get ripped. You have a real good time for about $50, Canadian. Back in the day, so I can only imagine what it'd be like in America. But yeah, it's become an expensive kind of hobby now to go out to bars.
I was involved in a little startup here in South Central Texas for a little while. It didn't pan out, but it was we were doing not poker. We were doing casino games at a poker card house. And we were going to build a cigar lounge into it, and I was really looking forward to that, and bummed that it didn't pan out. We'll know that we're back. We will know that the chuds have fully executed the takeover when we're smoking cigarettes on airplanes again. That's when, like, that's the marker. Imagine going through security, sprinting to your gate, getting there, standing in line with the North American street apes chimping out all around you, and you get up to the gate, you scan your ticket, you go in, you stand in the line, you're hot, you're sweating, people are breathing all over, and you walk into the plane, you say hello to the pilot, nice strapping 55-year-old retired military pilot. Hello, sir. Have a pleasant flight, sir. You greet the attractive flight attendant. Hello, ma'am. Good to see you, ma'am. You walk up to your seat.
Who's not a troon?
Not a troon. She's attractive, kind, great smile. You sit down in your seat. You reach in to your backpack. You pull out the pack of smokes, pop it open, grab your lighter. Imagine that. Imagine sitting back. Those seats could be as uncomfortable as they are right now. You could have your knees knocking the seat in front of you. But if you were striking up a dart right there in that moment, think about that inhale. You sit down on the seat and you just
while you peruse your Arby's in-flight menu.
Yeah, right. Yes. We're gonna have King Pilled Airlines sponsored by Arby's. Catered by Arby's.
Yes, I will have the ham and cheese. The ham and cheese melt looks delightful.
Yes.
Will you be carving it? Will you be making it at the table?
Yes. Yeah, please. There's got to be a roast beef joke in here. I'm not going to get into that. I respect women. Back to the YARVIN tweet here. He says, so the new regime grows top down in breadth first order. So meaning it's trying to get as broad of an expanse as possible. And you can see the administration has taken this tack. They're consolidating, like Marco Rubio. He's got 6 different job descriptions right now. Apparently Stephen Miller's got multiple different job descriptions. Some of these, the closest loyalists, the top advisors, they're getting oversight. This is really what Doge is. Doge is allowing the executive branch to be able to penetrate every agency and have a vector into that agency for oversight and control and such. He said, at this point, it is a cadre or a party. Now, I'm trying to. I don't understand why is he saying at this point it is either a cadre or a party, or is like what's the differentiation he's making here between cadre and party? That I don't know. But he says the praxis of this party must be democratic centralism. That is centralism, but good. And this I think is a callback to his thing, his little thing he's riffed on a bunch of interviews now at this point, where he says everyone thinks that democracy is good and politics is bad, but clearly democracy and politics are the same thing. One of them is coded bad, one of them's coded good. So in this case, the Trump administration, the praxis of the Trump party now must be democratic centralism. That is centralism. We're centralizing everything under a authoritarian hierarchical structure, but we're doing it for good reasons. We're doing it for good stuff.
Hey, who else did that? Going back to Build a Caesar, who else did that? Bukele, who he just basically said, hey, you know that term democracy? Yeah, I'm gonna reclaim it and just redefine it, and define it in a way that hard to. It's literally the will of the people. We
executive
need to do
democracy.
Yeah, we need to do the will of the people, and if the will of the people means that we have to act authoritarian with an authoritarian mandate for a period of time, so be it. Right? This is, Vox Populi. Was it
Vox Populi, Vox Dei?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what you want, right? This is the thing you like. This is the thing you want. Great, cool. We're just going to use it now.
Yes.
Oh, and we're going to define the term to what was useful for us, and by the way, sounds pretty good, doesn't it? On the premise of it, because really, it doesn't matter what you say, and it doesn't matter even the words coming out your mouth. If the results are good, then ergo good.
Yes.
This is what's driving me fucking nuts. I want to pull my teeth out every single time I hear, was it Destiny Tits and that whole Breastiny, yeah. And that whole cadre have really started to try to do this. And anyone listening to the chat, pay attention to it, and you'll hear it. And it literally must be, it drives me nuts. They're trying to say that, well, feminism equals higher GDP, and GDP good, therefore feminism good. This is the new thing, right? And they're using it all the time. GDP good. GDP good, GDP up, good. It's very boomer. I don't even know what their audience. I guess this is the millennial thing, right? Because millennials are just downstream boomers. So they're really trying to do this thing. Now GDP itself is so fucking stupid as a metric of good. It blows my mind. It's a snapshot. It just means that the companies in your country are doing good. Business is good, right? Business is up. It has nothing to do with you, the individual living in that country, how you're living. The assumption is, because it's the old assumption, businesses are doing good, therefore you're doing good because you work for businesses, don't you?
Well, and the GDP number is so completely jiggered now by
even if it was gospel, it wouldn't matter,
right,
because it has nothing to do with your wages or your standard of living and all these other metrics. And you know why it doesn't necessarily comport to those things? Because we have those other metrics. We have other metrics to determine those metrics. If GDP just meant quality of life, we wouldn't need a quality of life index, would we? We just go, well, GDP. GDP is.
It turns out the quality
GDP
of life index is bullshit too.
Well, sure, but again, I'll give it to you, right?
You're
I'll give you all these categories. Sure, all these categories are completely 100% great and sanker set and a good indicator of things. Cool, awesome. Then why do we need any other indicator if it's all GDP? We wouldn't. We would just go GDP, therefore good. We wouldn't need anything else. The fact that we have these other things means that GDP is not the end all and be all of all metrics. It's just a metric. It's one thing to look at. Anyways, and again, one of the things I would point out if I was ever in these debates, I'm like, well, in Germany between 1932 and 1937, GDP rose by 55%.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to come.
Therefore,
Oh, that was so perfect. We got an I'm gonna come just exactly right then. Well done, Alexander M. $2. He says some of my best friends are jiggered. I was gonna say Judge Maddie stole the joke from me in the chat. He said you can't say jiggered with a hard R. I was gonna say here at Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo, we say jigger with a hard R.
Oh, with two hard R's.
Jigger.
Jigger.
Maybe you could roll it. Jigger.
Jigger.
I don't even remember what you were saying. I just know that I'm gonna come was perfect timing.
Just saying that if we're gonna piece apart these metrics and get into crayon eating levels of analysis, then sure. Then the standards and practices of Germany during 1932 and 1937 led to high GDP. We should go back to that then too, right? What were they doing? Must have been the kindergarten. It must have been the fucking roads, right? It must have been the Autobahn. That was the thing. But so people are really trying to the left is just being spasmodic. I was going to tie this into it because the big question now being asked, and it's a good question, is Trump is doing a lot of things by executive order, right? Tons of EEOs not being passed by Congress. Typically, under the standard rule of things, that's bad because the next guy in can just undo it all. And I think so. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts about that is, because I'm looking at it going, well, again, if you plug in to some of our analysis and metrics, it kind of tells me that they're not really worried about the next person coming in because they might have already had that fixed. And I hate to tell you this to you folks. Remember when I was saying Trump was being installed? Yeah, well, Carney was being installed. And a bunch of other leftists are being installed. Now, when I pointed out from the left, right, how in all these, in all the Commonwealth, from England to Canada to Australia just recently, you have these massive elections where the Liberal Party, right, the whatever party, won by like huge margins. Well, in Canada, they're still not technically a majority, but whatever, right? They went from like guaranteed going to be out under Trudeau to like they just won the prime minister again under this Mark Carney guy who's interesting, and we're going to be talking to Jim and I will be talking to an interesting guy next week. Keep an eye out that, specifically about Canadian politics, specifically about Mark Carney. But you think that's a fluke? Really? At this point in the game, do you think any of this shit's a fluke? A coincidence, a quinky-dink, the greatest coincidence of all time? That there's no coordination. It just looks like coordination, but that's just coincidence, right?
Right.
The fact that Trump wasn't being listened to at all until he did a tariff war, and then everyone's like listening to him and coming to the table. No, don't pay attention to that. Like, at what point should you be paying attention? At what point does any of this stuff go, hey, this seems unusual? Hey, remember when I was telling you that Trump is being installed, and I pointed out that he seems to be being backed by the Carlyle Group, at least in part, if not in whole. The Carlyle Group seems to have a big presence in this. And oh yeah, the Carlyle Group bought Dominion, the guys who have the voting machines. Now, I'm not saying that the last election was fixed. I'm just simply saying that they could fix it if they wanted to. And now that group's in control, or at least in that pocket of control. And you have Peter Thiel, whose fingerprints are all over this, who just happens to have a direct line to Palantir, who just now Palantir through Grok is now involved, is now been uploaded to the entire infrastructure, digital infrastructure of the United States government. Coincidence? Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Regarding the executive orders, you asked me. So Trump's issuing all these executive orders, but they need to be legislated. They need to be actually enshrined in legislation through Congress. I think number one, my reaction to that, when people are like starting to like chimp about, he's just doing this all by executive fiat, and then in 2028 a Democrat will get elected and just reverse all of this stuff. This is wrong on so many different levels. Number one, if you think that there is a valid, let's take this two different directions, or in two different ways. So in 2028, there's going to be a presidential election. And that's either going to be a Republican or a Democrat, most likely. If your concern is that a Democrat, as Democrats exist in 2025, elected in 2028, you are politically illiterate. The 2025 Democratic Party is not going to be putting up a presidential candidate in 2028. If the Democratic Party, properly speaking, the institution called the Democratic Party, if they put up a candidate in 2028, that candidate is not going to be a 2025 Democrat. That candidate is going to be a very different thing, because the entire political landscape has been completely redefined in the last 5 months, and it's only just getting started. The downstream impact
of Fetterman.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard from John Fetterman in a very long time. I hadn't even thought about that. He's gotten real quiet. He was real noisy there for a while, but he's gotten real quiet. That's interesting. I'm gonna make a little note of that in the back of my mind.
Comes in spurts and spats.
Mm-hmm.
AOC is taking up all the airways. We got AOC
Right.
and Bernie.
Yeah,
that dream ticket.
And that Indian that Jeet freak from Michigan who wants to impeach Trump.
Oh, please,
Shri Thanadar.
Please let Bernie run again in 2020. Please,
Yeah.
Lord.
900-year-old Bernie.
It'll be so fucking funny with AOC as his running mate. Please, Lord, please let it happen.
So there is no possible world where a 2025 Democrat is elected president in 2028.
Right.
Someone who thinks and operates and would govern or rule like a 2025 Democrat. There is zero possibility that person is elected in 2028. So anybody who's like, oh, in 2028, they're just going to take back power and they're going to undo all of the stuff that Trump did because he just issued executive orders and he didn't actually do these things through Congress. But if he does things through Congress, well, then everything is just, they can't do anything about it because legislation that's on the books prevents them from mass importing millions and millions of brown people and rigging elections through it. It was legislation that stopped them from doing that. If you are thinking in these terms, like, oh, we've got to get it through Congress. We've got to get it through Congress. And if we get it through Congress, then all right. Now we can rest easy. Job done, dust our hands off and go back to the farm and settle in and live out our days in peace and harmony. No, like this isn't how the American political system works, and it's especially not how any political system works in 2025. The things that Trump has done in the first 5 months have set things in motion that are vastly more significant than fucking congressional bills.
Germany just outlawed the number one competitor, political competitor to Merz and co.
They did, and then they rolled it back.
Well, they had to because they finally got revealed what they were trying to do, and
right.
Everyone's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But at the same time, I saw a report. Some guy was out there saying that they've actually locked down people from leaving Germany. There's some people who are part of the far right groups who wanted to leave Germany and go to some sort of conference or something like that, and they were disallowed from leaving Germany. So it wasn't like people, the standard routine is like they won't allow the UK blocked that French guy from going to UK because he's a race realist or something like that, and they're like, oh no, can't have any of that, right? But now Germany's like, no, you can't leave because we don't want you representing. We're afraid of you representing Germany in these group meetings, and it maybe make us look bad. Is their reasoning? It's crazy. And they have constitutions, they have laws, They have a standard set of rules. What the EU publicly did to Romania that everyone knows about, and everyone's just pretending it didn't happen. Where the EU literally shut down elections in Romania because the wrong candidate might win. The fuck is this? Is not normal. Forget about normal. This is not 1995. We're not going back to normal. We're going into a new thing. And the new thing is going to be substantiated by, executive orders and a whole bunch of people in power going, we're going to exercise power now. We're going to exercise the power of the executive, whether in these 4 years or the next 4 years, the next 12. It's over. The standard ways of doing things is no longer standard. And you got to get that through your head.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that whoever is elected in 2028 is automatically going to be a good thing and our guy and whatever else. I'm saying the 2028 presidential election is going to be held under a different political paradigm than the 2024 election was. Right. This is not going to be Democrats versus Republicans, even if the people running are Democrat versus Republican. Like, just because they have the name on them doesn't mean that we're operating under the same political paradigm. The way that the narrative, that the frame of discussion has changed over the past 6-7 months, just since Trump was elected, we're in a completely different world now, and that this new world it operates under different terms in a lot of ways than anything we're used to. It's going to take a while we're in this liminal space. It's going to take us a while before we really settle into whatever the new world is, whatever the new political formulas are. But they're going to be different. And this is part of what what YARVIN is saying with this thread. His next tweet on this was FDR's Bureau of the Budget, which is now OMB, which interestingly, OMB is, I was telling you guys several months ago that to keep an eye out for OMB, for who's going to be running OMB, and Jason disappeared again. I think Jason probably took himself off, so I'm not going to panic too much here just yet. But hopefully he shows up again. The OMB, I was telling you guys a while back to pay attention to who was going to be put in place to run OMB, because that was going to be significant. And it was Russ Vogt, who is our guy, who is absolutely very much our guy. A really, really good dude, very smart, very savvy. Go listen to his interview with Tucker Carlson if you want to understand where he's coming from. And it was just announced, I think, that when Elon kind of pulls back from Doge a little bit, he's here for this first 6 months for the big push, and then he's going to get back to work a little bit, and Doge is going to be under the oversight of Russ Vogt, which is a very good thing to hear. So YARVIN says FDR's Bureau of the Budget, now OMB, is the best American example of this breadth first regime that closely supervises every agency in the old regime. He says it turned out that anything FDR didn't like was wasteful, fraudulent, or abusive. Doesn't that work out nicely? So if FDR doesn't like it, then that means it's wasteful, fraudulent, and abusive. Turns out, great. Say what you will about FDR, guy had a real nose for power. The Robert Parker of power, just serve whatever Parker likes. Now, I don't actually know who Robert Parker is. I'm going to look this up here real quick. Let's find out. Robert Parker, wine critic. Okay. Yeah, that's a very Yarvinian sort of analogy to make. The Robert Parker of power. Just serve whatever Parker likes. He continues, the first duty, this is probably the most important tweet of the sequence here. The first duty of every authority is to consolidate its power, if that power is unstable or incomplete. If its power is complete, its first duty is to maintain it. So every authority, its first duty is consolidate its power. Ensure that its authority is enforceable. Because authority that is unenforceable is not authority. And authority is responsibility. So every authority who has authority has a responsibility to consolidate that authority. There he is. He's back. Did you drop out on purpose or on accident?
It dropped me out.
Oh, I thought you did it on purpose.
No.
Okay. So I'm continuing this YARVIN thread here.
But I'll be back.
Yeah. So the first duty of every authority is to consolidate its power if that power is unstable or incomplete. And here's the thing. Power is a responsibility. Authority is a responsibility. It's not a privilege. It is a privilege, but people think of this as like, oh, if you're in power, this is kind of like an Occupy Wall Street sort of trope that the CEOs who have all these gigantic salaries and everything, they just get to sit around and do nothing all day and put their feet up on their desk and smoke cigars, and all the little people who work for them. And this is not at all how it works functionally or how it works necessarily. If you are in a position of power, if you have authority, your responsibility is to enforce that authority. Because if you're in a position where you hold authority and you don't actually enforce that authority, you're creating a void. You're creating a disordered gap that causes other people to have to try to fill it. So then they're creating a gap. And the whole thing goes haywire. So whatever authority you have a responsibility to consolidate and enforce that authority. Now, if you have reached a point where your authority is consolidated, is enforced,
I'm a white guy. I'm ready to kill.
It's not being challenged in a or it's not being undermined. It's not unstable. It's not incomplete, as he says. Then, if your power is complete, then the first duty is to maintain that power. And this is a thing that I think there's a lot of shit-lib Christianity that's still latent in a lot of people's brains, where the notion that power is something that an authority has a responsibility to protect or enforce or maintain is, I think a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. I think even a lot of notionally right-wing people are still squeamish about the idea of someone being in power and having power and enforcing that power and doing things to maintain that power. We still have a lot of the democratic thing where the person who's in power, there has to be some way to remove them from power, which means you have to their power has to be compromised. And this is the great bargain. Like, in order for society to function optimally, you need leadership that has power that is uncompromised and unquestioned, because that's efficient, effective power. But you need to know that that efficient, effective power is going to be conducted morally and uprightly. And if it's not conducted morally and uprightly, then the whole society is up shit's creek without a paddle, which is a metaphor that has never made sense to me. Because if I'm up a creek and I don't have a paddle, that's fine, because I can just float down the creek. Being down the creek without a paddle and trying to get up the creek, that's a real problem. Anyways, so it is a Christian duty. I will assert this. It is a Christian duty for those who are in power to maintain their power. This is a virtue. You don't want unstable power. The worst tyrants are the leaders.
I'm a white guy.
Whose
I'm ready to
power
kill.
is questionable, whose power is challenged. If the power can be undermined or threatened in some way, that's going to create instability and uncertainty, which is actually what's going to draw out tyranny. The tyrannical leaders are the authoritarian leaders whose power is questionable, because now they have an incentive to go out and try to stamp out any challengers to them. But if their power is unquestioned, they don't need to go stamp out challengers. Go ahead.
Something that's connected to a lot of the things we talk about in civilizational capital, yada, 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 is this. I've been workshopping this idea. It's birth rates are plummeting because of lack of trust, and the trust is consistency. So liberalism now, late stage liberalism is basically been drawing its strength off crisis. So post-war, you have this managerial revolution, and part of that is creating that fifth estate, right? Putting a lot of power into the cathedral, because that becomes your recruitment and your projection apparatus. The problem is this: when you put power into the cathedral doesn't have the responsibility nor the mandate to consolidate or maintain or generate power. It's just there to present it. So what ends up happening is
presenting it is spending it.
Right. So it's spending it faster than you can generate it. Remember that whole civilizational capital idea. You no longer have a regio that confines these subgroups together. So now you have the economic, the social, and the political capital groups just cannibalizing each other, right? They don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know where to invest it. So what you end up getting is crisis upon crisis upon crisis. That creates a level of low trust. So now we have a low trust, right? Was a high time preference society, right? Where everything's immediate and no one trusts each other. So when you're talking about having kids, it's not even economic. It's not economic, and it's not even like dictator or freedom or liberty or not. It's that you don't know what the next 5 years is going to be. This is the problem with investments. So to everyone crying about the boomers and stuff like that, you know what the boomers had more so than anything? A trust in government and a relative and a prognosis, a system that they could trust in for the next 20, 30 years. So it wasn't just even like, one, the banks could trust you to give you lower interest rate loans, because even if you screw up, it doesn't matter. The economy is looking so bright, it doesn't matter, right? They can take the losses are kind of built into the system, but the overall prognosis is positive. So positive, in fact, that people can take crazy big giant risks. Having kids is a risk. And it's not just a financial risk. You're literally bringing someone into the world that you're attaching so much energy, time, feelings, everything to, that if your kid doesn't exist tomorrow, that's a horrible thing that weighs on parents' minds. And the way you mitigate that risk is living in an environment that kind of mitigates a lot of those other risks for you. Well, if you can't mitigate those risks, if that risk mitigation is outside your control completely, and in fact, it's more likely that you're going to hit a new crisis every 5 fucking years, what do people start doing? They stop taking risky behaviors. And kids are a huge risk. It's a huge liability. Whether you conceive of it that way or not, that's what's happening. So it's even under a despotic regime, something that's what we would consider horrible. If it's consistently horrible, people can have kids in that environment. As many kids as they literally can.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what tomorrow is going to be like, well, your chance of having kids decreases. Your desire to have children decreases. And I think it's actually moral. There's a moral argument to be made on that vibe of going, things are so uncertain, I don't want to bring a kid into this. It would be immoral for me to do that. Because I don't know if we're going to be like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, or you go, okay, since I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow and I want to have kids, I'm going to have 1 or 2. I'm not going to have 5 or 6. It's even like adding more and more risk to it. This is why we can look back in relatively more depressed times. During the Great Depression, people were having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's maybe not during the Great Depression, but during, let's say, economically.
I'm a white guy, and I'm ready to kill.
Times, GDP not so great times. People were having tons of kids because you know what? It was pretty consistent. They could bet on tomorrow or next week or 20 years or next 100 years. You don't build cathedrals if you're wondering if you're going to have a country tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that part of that high trust. Civilization good, well-managed civilization, even if it's a civilization that you and I wouldn't want to live in at any time in history or today, if it's consistent, people can bet on it. And they'll make bets on that system. That's how you want to restore birth rates, get something consistent again. None of these wild swings where it's like everyone's got lots of money. No, everyone's broke. Everyone's got lots of money. Everyone's broke, right? Like set up a system where people can depend on it, whatever it is, for the next 20 years, and you'll see birth rates increase. Is my theory. I'm workshopping it, so it may not be perfect, but I think that goes into that whole like low trust society. If you have a low trust society, you ain't got nothing, and it's because it's too chaotic. There's too many unanswerables, and part of that, how that's got created in the modern world, is that managerial revolution, where eventually they turn to crisis to get more money, to get more funding, saying, "Hey, we're important. Remember us?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you need us. Well, you always need us in a time of crisis. So guess what? Crisis. And they'll, if they can't create a national one, they'll create an internal one."
It's interesting. Spud Ruckus says women's fertility is tied to stability. Little rhyme there. During wars, the miscarriage rate more than doubles. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, because stress is a killer.
Sure.
There's I want to address this thing about low time preference and investing in stability. Got to read some tips here. Got one from Anonymous, $1, says, speaking at the OGC conference tomorrow. Also, if anyone is in Georgia, we have an OGC chapter set up. There you go. If you guys are in Georgia, hit up Anonymous. Whoever Anonymous is, hit him up. Go. There's an OGC website. Go check it out. Go, if you're in Georgia, go get connected with those boys. And then Jay Ford has 2 different $1 tips here. The first one, he says, here's a tip. Point the sharp end towards your enemy. That's right. The enemy is going to be dealt with the sharp tip. And then he says, do you know how hard it was to get things done in today's societal climate down in North Carolina after the Helene flood? Agony. I can imagine. I've heard, I don't even have to imagine. I've heard the stories from Jay Ford, who we got to give a big shout out to Jay Ford, because he, right after the hurricane hit, I was in the voice chat in the King Pill Discord with him when you could hear the moment dawn on him when he was like, you know what? I need to go down there, don't I? I need to go down and help out with the relief effort in North Carolina. And the next day, literally like the next day, maybe the day after, don't let me don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. The next day, he was on the road, headed down there, and he's been down there. He's gone back and forth, but he's been down there for the last several months. And last I heard, good things are happening in his life. We'll just say that. I don't want to air him out too much, but it's turned out to be a very, very good move that he made, and he sacrificed. He's worked hard. He's learned a lot. He's gone through a lot, and he's also reported back. So we've gotten the inside scoop.
It's almost like doing like good things leads to other good things.
I'm a white guy, and I'm ready to kill.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Look, this is the way out of the mess. Is that hopefully you don't have to wait for a tragedy like that to happen, but you can do things that are free right now, that don't take 20 years of trading, that don't take massive investments. It just means stepping up, right? Be the guy in the tie in the room of people wearing t-shirts. Pick up garbage in your neighborhood. Simple little thing, right? But it's memetically good. There's no filter against it. There's none. Everyone sees someone picking up garbage off the street. It's just good. That's just a good thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone recognizes it good. Right. And you're memetically producing that. Don't do it. And the real trick is don't make a big deal of it. Because sometimes you'll see these things where people make a big, like, come down to the beach and we're, sign up and we'll pick the garbage. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm simply saying that becomes an event. The more important thing is to do it when you're just walking down the street. And don't make a big show of it like, oh, this garbage. Oh my God. Just pick up and put in a bin. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you do it, the more you just make it a thing you do. It's a ritual you do. Guarantee someone's going to see you doing it, and they're going to start doing it too. And then that begets behavior, and that's how you restore these things. Sometimes it's not always the $1 million investment in civilization. These things can happen at 25 cents a piece. Little tiny investments, and that's how you change things. So if you say, well, I work 80 hours a week and I got this and I got that, and I don't have time. Okay, so you walk to the store, pick up some garbage. Let your kids see it. And then they do it. And they're going to model it. And that's how you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you fix it. And you might have a situation where you have to do big, giant things sometimes. But also, if you're planning on being a good person during the big giant things, you better be practicing the small things too. So start practicing the small things in every way. Get your head right. And this is to go back to the YARVIN thing. I think there's a lot of people who are looking for, the red pill, right? They're looking for the pill. I take the pill,
Yes.
I get awakened, I now get downloaded with all the praxis. It doesn't work that way. These are pebbles. I use the old story of the crow looking to drink, and he drops little pebbles in the water to raise the water level up. You're a pebble. You're a stone. YARVIN's a stone. That's it. So you take what you want or you can from him, and you're adding it on to this. What do I do? How do I do it? Right? I can't answer that for you because I don't know where you're living. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what you can, what you have to give, what life hands you. But I can tell you to do the small things. It's the clean your room thing. It's the only good thing Jordan Peterson, I think, is ever going to produce. Is clean your room is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Because it brings you back down to what can you do? What's the smallest amount you can do? Do that. And then do that all the time. Every day. Prayer. Wake up in the morning, do your prayer. Just pray. Just do it. And you'll find yourself sometimes going, I don't want to do it today. Why? Why don't you? It's 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes of your freaking life. Just do it. And you're going to feel better. And you're going to just substantiate a pattern that when you need it, it's there. Maybe you don't need it today. You might need it tomorrow. So.
Be more concerned with what you're doing than with what other people aren't doing.
Mm-hmm. So how do you fix that? Low trust as well. Be trustworthy. Substantiate a pattern within yourself, not for anybody else. And again, don't make a big deal of it, but substantiate a pattern yourself that is trustworthy. Stop lying. Just don't lie anymore. It's harder than you think. But if you stop lying and aggressively go after your own lies, not anybody else's, your lies, things that you sometimes get away with, stop. And then when you stop lying, stop being distrustful. Be the guy that everyone can trust. When you say something, you mean it. When you do something, you're going to do it. Be that guy. And I know maybe the chat full of amazing people, so I'm not throwing any stones, but I'll just talk to myself. That's a work. Because you build up these little tiny deceits and these little you get around things. Stop doing that. And it works. It changes you. This is the repent part. Return, repent, redeem. Repenting means changing your life. It means being transformed by it. It doesn't just mean you get dunked in the water and you're good. It means you literally have to change.
I'm a white guy. I'm ready to kill.
That's how you know the Spirit's working with you. How do you know you're with this Holy Spirit? Are you abiding with the Holy Spirit? Because you're doing the work. And you have to. So if you're just reading YARVIN and sitting there critiquing, it's like, look, he's giving you tons of good stuff here. Take one little thing and just work on it. Use it. put it into your phronema, into your worldview now, and use it as a way to understand things, and see if you can make a praxis out of it. Like I said before, that realization was like a power levels, of energy levels. It's like, how much energy do you think it's going to take to get that done? You want that done? Okay. How many mountains will you have to move to get that done? Think about it that way. That's 0 to 1, right? It seems like a small little shift, but it's massive. PayPal is 0 to 1. The invention of PayPal is literally going from 0 to 1. That's it. Pretty big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you making a PayPal? No. Oh, okay. Well, put it in that perspective. That's the one. So there's lots of different integers of 0 that you're at. You guys tune in to watch me and Matt talk, right? From your perspective, we're doing great. Trust me, Matt and I we talk about it. We're struggling as hell, right? We're grinding. No, but and I'm not pity. This is not a pity thing. It's just like, if you don't have a channel, you don't have a podcast or something like that, you might look at someone doing it and go, well, you guys are doing great. And it's like, well,
we're doing for sure.
we're showing up.
I don't know if you heard this on the Lab yesterday. I think it was yesterday on the Lab when I was talking about, I think one of these things about the liberal worldview, the liberal frame, that even a lot of people who see themselves as anti-liberal are really just still trapped in that dialectic frame. It's this spirit of critique. Everyone is a critic. Everyone has something. This is like the quote that I like to quote myself on many times, is that the greatest thing about the internet is it gives anyone a voice, and the worst thing about the internet is it gives anyone a voice. Everyone can be a critic now. And I think this is part of this deconstructionist spirit of liberalism. That the defining trait of leftism is the eradication of borders, the eradication of distinctions. Leftism eradicates not just borders between countries, but borders between concepts, borders between ideas. It's this blending of everything. This is the desire for the monad, the return to oneness. We must eliminate all distinctions. We must egalitarianize everything. And what was I saying just before that? I lost my train of thought. Oh, the spirit of critique. So, there's this characteristic of liberalism, I think, which is this deconstructionist, it's safe, it's easy. It's easy to sit back and to just throw stones, throw pebbles, I suppose, and critique and deconstruct and snipe at what the people who are actually doing things are doing or saying. And here's the thing. Doing something poorly is better than not doing something at all. Mm-hmm. It is better to start doing and to do it badly and to give yourself something that you can build upon, and you can... It's not good to keep doing things poorly. If you're doing something poorly, you should stop doing it poorly. You should learn how to do it not poorly. But it's better that you're doing something, even if it is being done poorly, than it would be to just not do anything at all. But there is this part of this, I think like the postmodern liberal, in the proper sense, liberal spirit, is this idea of we need to deconstruct everything. We need to take everything apart. We need to disassemble everything and eradicate the distinctions between things. And so people who are embodied of this spirit just sit around critiquing all the time. I see this in myself. I have to catch myself on this. Just like not bringing anything to the table yourself, just simply sniping at the things that other people are doing and critiquing them. And it feels like I did something. I made this observation that person is worse than they could be. But meanwhile, you're the one sitting there not doing anything. So like in Yarvin's case, Yarvin's not doing that right. He's not saying the right thing. He has the wrong presuppositions. He has the he's a Jew. He's a sellout. His dad was in the State Department. He has bad hair. He has weird speech crutches that are annoying when I listen to them. You know, whatever. Yada 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 yada. Yarvin's doing something.
He's gotten better at all those things, though. Oh, maybe
that's
not
true.
the hair, but
I think he can help that.
But I mean,
he's in the arena. He is the man in the arena.
When I remember, I first started listening to him, and I had Mark, and I was showing him like, oh, you got to listen to this guy, right? The shit he's saying is amazing. And everyone I put it in front of them, they were like, yeah, it's pretty brutal. I'm like, I know, okay, I know, right? He makes me sound good, but if you get through the ums and ahs, and really, boil down to what he's saying, his writing is better than his speaking. But he's reaching people. That's the thing. He's reaching people, and I'll just speak on a personal level. Coming out of long COVID, or the long flu, and all that shit, everyone had questions, and you're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I'm going to all the standard sources, and everything they're saying is horseshit. So okay, what's who's saying something that's even somewhat in the realm of reality? Oh, this Nebi Jew, is saying some stuff. I'm like, I can dig with this. It's new. I don't know if it's right, but it's certainly not what I'm used to listening to. And fuck it. All right. Well, if all the other big brains are coming up with zeros, let's listen to this guy. What has he got? Let's listen about what. Hang on a second. What is my problem with monarchy, anyways? Right, and that started that pattern of going, question everything. Why do you think this? Oh, I don't like it. Why? From what? Who put that in your head? You did? Just spontaneously? You just grew up in a reality where you just decided that monarchy bad because of reasons? What? No, you didn't. Someone told you that. It was substantiated. Maybe someone didn't tell you explicitly, but it became implicitly in your environment that these things are bad. We can't think about those things. Okay, well, if we throw that out and go, let's ask those questions. Where did it come from? Why do I think this? Well, if I don't have a good answer for it, then maybe that's an indication that there's something else going on, that I'm being fucked with. And I don't know about you, Matt. I don't like getting fucked with. I really don't like getting fucked with. Like, I'm a very people may not understand this. I'm actually a very kind person. Like, I'll give you a lot of leeway, especially if I love you, man. I'll give you a lot of excuses. I'll give you lots and lots of leeway until you fuck with me. Until I catch on, like, are you fucking with me? Because if you're fucking with me,
we're gonna
gloves are off. Yeah. Now I'm going to treat you like I treat everyone else, which is not kind.
I got 2 more $1 super chats from Jay Ford. He says, "Sorry, I'm anonymous." So the anonymous super chat was from Jay Ford, and then he says, "Old Chucky is right here. If I hadn't done a lot of the personal work long beforehand, I'd have been much more useless during relief efforts."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the little things. You build it up. Right. You're just building up. It's like I say to people, like, your moment may never come. Maybe you never get called on to be the big guy, right? In a religious aspect, we always talk about the saints, and of course we pray with the saints, and we read the lives of the saints, and God will choose these people, and you will most likely, by the process of just numbers, never be the guy that God chooses. But there's never a bad reason to prepare for that. Because what if God chooses you? What if God gives you the opportunity and you're sitting there going, oh, shit. Well, I wasn't ready for that. Like, well, could have been.
That's a you problem.
Yeah. I mean, hey, maybe God's not going to choose you because you're not doing the prep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be the chosen one, maybe you got to do all the things to make you a chosen one, to make you choosable. Put you in the conversation, at least.
You just reminded me of another thing I need to add to the soundboard. Trump saying I am the chosen one. I know we're coming up on you got a heart out here in about 20 minutes, and I kind of do too. It's funny, we decided we were going to talk about did YARVIN sell out, and because there was a blog post written by Scott Alexander called Moldbug Sold Out, and we're not actually going to get to the blog post itself.
We can get through it right now. I mean, we won't get through it all, but I mean, Scott Alexander's a shit lib.
Mm-hmm.
He's a shit lib who I think, to give him his due, he's a shit lib who there's an increasing amount of liberals now. I think the IDW to steelman their position. God bless them. They're liberals who understand there's a problem, but they can't understand it fully because they're caught in that liberal frame. So even you get a Jordan Peterson quote or someone like that saying, "Yeah, this is Luciferian," da 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 da. And you go, "Okay, so good. You got it." And then the next thing is, well, we just need to vote better, or we need to protect Israel, or we need to do this, we need to do that. I'm like, okay, where did we lose you? Because you see the problem, you've identified it, you get it, you understand the mechanisms that there's a problem, but you're falling short because somehow they're still connected to this idea that, oh no, we can fix it within the frame, and you can't. You cannot use liberalism to fix liberalism. It's been tried. It keeps failing. It just produces more liberalism, which is the problem. And they don't want to hear that because that's their shit, right? That's where all their stuff is. That's how they make their money. That's how they make their career. So they don't want to hear that they were wrong about everything. It's a tough one. Trust me, I went through it. It's not fun, but it's necessary. Because we're at an inflection point that either you're going to figure this out, or you're going to be playing a fiddle while Rome burns. The barbarians are inside the gate, and it's not just the immigrants; it's your own people who there's a very strong percentage of people in the West who want to see it collapse.
Mm-hmm.
They need it. They need to see it collapse in their time to feel validated.
Yes. Yeah, that's the I think that's the really dark heart of this cynical nihilistic spirit that is percolating, that's breaking out. And it doesn't matter what, like, figuring out the optimal political philosophy is not going to resolve that. Yes. It's not going to resolve that spirit for you.
You can pick up a copy of this book for about $20, I think. Something like that. Or get the audio. There's a really good audio version on Audible. What? Yeah. Audible for whatever it is, $10, whatever it is. Get it for free on the Audible deal, right? Mm-hmm. That's how I first listened to it. Read this. This is now required reading.
For the audio, it's Nihilism: The Root of the Revolution in the Modern Age by
Father Seraphim Rose. You need to read it. You need to read it and reread it and digest it and get it in your head. About 90% of everything I talk about comes from this. I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
His section on breaking down the different forms of nihilism and even liberalism itself. But one of the key points that really made me go, oh, fuck, there it is, was he talked about vitalism, and vitalism being a form of nihilism.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see a lot in the dissident right spheres? And what I see, where I'm just trying to raise as many alarm bells, especially with the neo-pagan groups, they're all talking about vitalism as if it's a good thing.
Yep.
It's not.
Yep.
It's the same shit. It's the same. There's no end to it. It's just empty space. It's a waste of energy. And it's there to get you all riled up and put all your energy into the thing. but the thing you're putting your energy in isn't sustainable. It doesn't self-sustain itself.
It's gay. It's infertile.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want a live reading version of Nihilism by Father Seraphim Rose, the King Pilled YouTube channel has a series where I read through the whole book. So go look for that. I just dropped the link in the live chat here for the first part of that. But just look for Nihilism by Father Seraphim Rose on the channel, and there's several parts to it. I want to share this here. You were talking about the investing and like taking that step, doing that like on an individual level. And let's apply this on the geopolitical level. I posted this last night on Twitter, borrowed from the King Pill Discord, one of our best posters in the King Pill Discord. Posted this. He says, I had Grok make a list of all major investments announced in the USA since November of 2024. This does not include anything below $500 million. So, for example, the Anheuser-Busch investment didn't make the cut. This also doesn't include some of these big contracts with the Arab states or expenditures on things like the border wall or army bases or Army Corps of Engineers, etc. This is just major new corporate investments in the USA in the last 6 months. You have Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion, SoftBank, $100 billion, UAE, $1.4 trillion, TSMC, $100 billion, OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank, $500 billion, Apple, $500 billion, NVIDIA, hundreds of billions, and so on. Here's this whole list. All the way down. This is everything over $500 million. It comes out to a total of $3.22 trillion. And he says, imagine how many small companies are also expanding based on the need to replace small-time crap from China due to the tariffs. I know many small and medium companies I work with, he works in the insurance business, are planning for expansion in the next 24 months. This is, when I talk about how I think the whole, well, in 2028, the Democrats are just going to take back power and they're just going to undo everything Trump did. That sort of perspective, I think, is born out of, I want to differentiate. Saying there are evil people out there who are our enemies and they're seeking political power and they want to use political power to amass wealth and personal gain to themselves at our expense. Those people are always going to be there. That type of person is always going to exist. That type of person has always existed. Back in the heydays, in the glory days of the 90s that everyone looks back to fondly now, there were cabals of political factions that were seeking to amass political power and use it against their enemies. Like that. This has always been the case. We're hyper fixated on it right now, but it's always been the case. In this particular case, though, speaking specifically about this sort of investment that's being made, these are major fundamental structural changes about the flows of dollars around the world that cannot just be, by its nature, these sorts of systems have a tremendous amount of inertia. Once they get going, once they get set in motion, it's very, very difficult to move them. It requires a tremendous expenditure of political capital to move them. Donald Trump, in order to move these things, had to get shot in the ear. How many of you want to sign up to get shot in the ear? Not just shot in the ear, but shot at the head, and maybe it'll hit your ear and maybe it won't. There's a tremendous amount that has happened that has made this possible. But now, having $3.22 trillion worth of new investment being committed to the United States over the past 6 months, simply because Trump has started just doing things, Trump and his larger camp has started just doing things, this sort of thing is going to create a new inertia that can't just be undone immediately. But what this also is, because there's possible that some of this money gets committed, but it never actually ends up getting spent. And these are, they're agreed to we're going to spend up to, $1.2 trillion or whatever. And then it only ends up being $300 billion or whatever. But the thing is, this is a mimetic gold mine. Once you have major foreign countries, major businesses that are all scrambling to get these headlines, committing massive investment into the United States, the lower order people are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be mimicking the Johnsons and Johnson and Johnsons and Merck and who else is here? Anduril and Chobani and Kimberly Clark and Amazon and Regeneron. Hey, look at that! I didn't see that the first time. Regeneron. This is starting a new trend. Everyone's jumping on board. Everyone's trying to get in on this now. They all want to outdo the others. For the sake of this isn't because these companies were just sitting around waiting for some based political or based president to take over and then, oh, we can go do this. No, they just see the way the winds are blowing and they're trying to get out ahead of it for their own personal gain. They may be making these commitments because they actually want to spend all of that money because they've spreadsheeted it all out and determined that they'll make money on it. They may also just be trying to get PR wins. Any of these things, these all work for us. It doesn't matter what the thoughts are that are going in the heads of the executives who are doing this. This all works for us. But the mimetic effect of this, I think, is what's most valuable to notice, which is this applies it starts at the big level like this, and then you get the medium-sized businesses that start following suit. You get the small businesses that start following suit. And you get a new trend that everyone can begin buying in, even down to the personal level.
Gerard 101. People do not know what to desire. We don't have our own desires. We desire what other people desire. Easiest example. If you have a young child, you've seen this. If you look towards a cabinet, the child will want what's in the cabinet. They don't know, or if you go to the cabinet quite often, they take stuff out. They don't know what's in the cabinet. I'm talking like a really young child, like 1-year-old. They have no concept of pots, pans, things that are in. Everything is just object. They don't have distinction of object at that point. They just know mom and dad go to that cupboard. They want to go to the cupboard. Why? Well, you do. You want something. There's something wanting there, so they want that thing. And they'll just want it because you want it. People's desires are external. So what you do is you create the desire for something, and people will want it. The bigger the desire, the more people will want it. This goes into what we were saying, Matt, about America's biggest export is the concept of market itself. They export markets. So entertainment has become my favorite example. Hollywood is an American invention. Hollywood is the market of entertainment. It's the entertainment market itself. The movie, let's say the movie market. Now, movies would exist outside of Hollywood. They do exist outside of Hollywood. They don't market well to anywhere else in the world. Bollywood, every 5-10 years, someone goes, well, lots of people watch Bollywood in India, therefore we could export this. And they try doing it and never works. Slumdog Millionaire happens and then falls flat. It wins an award and then, okay? Hong Kong movies or whatever. Yeah, look, Squid Game. Look, anime is working. It's doing so great. And yeah, great. But it falls flat. Why? Because anime is not a market that's sold. It's not that deep. Until America takes over it and then makes American anime. And then anime becomes a big thing. See? America sells markets. America sells a desire for the market. America is inherently mimetic. I would say that any big, giant, real empire, right? I think Rome did this. The Brits did this. The Dutch did this at different times. They understood how to sell the desire for the thing, to want to be it. This is actually the problem with liberalism. Because the Brits come up with liberalism that works with the British Empire, right? It's a naval mercantile empire. So suddenly, and we just give it liberalism all its dues from the 16th century. Well, it makes sense, right? Common law, right? It makes sense in a British style of governance. The British are so good at creating the desire that everyone wants this thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for anybody else but the British. Oops. And maybe their satellites. Maybe. But I would even put forward that the Canadian style, that Canada is not the UK. America is certainly not the UK. So when you attach UK British style liberalism to other places in the world and just do this, it doesn't work. In fact, it gets real fucked up. That's granting that liberalism could even work by itself for the UK, which I don't think it will, but or doesn't. But I can grant you it. So even if we grant that it works there, it doesn't work anywhere else. America has been the only one in the modern world who can export markets that actually work for everybody else. Everyone likes Marvel movies. Why? I don't know. Well, they did anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you don't like Marvel movies, well, go to cowboy movies, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. People will buy it. They want American stuff. America's just sexier. It's cooler. It just reeks quality. And until that, and the American empire will end when no one believes it anymore. That's what I'm saying, and this is echoing something that Matt and I have said multiple times now. We're not at the end of the American empire. We're at the start of the American empire. It hasn't yet begun. Up until now, it's been a subsidiary of the City of London in one way or another. And that's ending now. It's over. And the British style, UK style liberalism is also over. Because finally, and kudos to Tom Luongo, this is one part I really do agree with Tom wholeheartedly, is the Brits are done. It's over. It's finished. Europe is cooked. It's terminal. And part of my bond market prognosis, and again, this is built off other people, go buy Tales of Shadow Empire. Help support the show and download that stuff in your brain if you haven't already. That's a European problem, and Europe needs to have a reckoning. It's about to. This month, it's happening. We didn't even get into the bond market stuff. Maybe next week we'll do it. We're already starting to see the stuff happening in the bond market now. That all the smart people are going, what's going on? Why is this happening? I'm like, gee, yeah, why is it happening? Because it has to happen. There's always going to happen. It's just a matter of how and when and who. And I think after this meeting in Saudi Arabia, you're going to start seeing things happen fast now. Keep your head on a swivel. It's going to happen fast. Because we're already into Q2, right? And all those activities that's been happening really for the last few years, but really since like end of March, April, you can't start screwing around with interest rates, especially bond market yields that are doing this. If anyone who doesn't believe me, go look at the British gilt crisis of there was 2008, 2006, I think, and 2018 were two big markers. And the 2018 one, I believe, was caused where the entire British bond market almost collapsed. And it happened over a 1% change, a 1% interest rate correction in their retirement funds. Oops. 1% change caused a 2.5 to 3 trillion liquidation overnight. And we've been playing around with numbers like 5 to 10%. The bond market right now in the 10-year yields had just fluctuated by 4.5% over the last 2 weeks.
That's what happens when you create a multi-quadrillion derivatives market.
Just saying. So imagine that. Almost $3 trillion liquidation in the British bond market, in the British economy. specifically targeting out of their retirement fund packaging, out of a 1% correction. And we're now seeing a 4.5% correction in the last 2 weeks. Things are going to happen. They have to happen. It's just mathematical certainty.
Yeah, notice the lack of presence of any European delegation. Maybe I missed it. Maybe if I didn't see it and someone did, you could correct me if I'm wrong. But this whole tour that Trump is doing through the Middle East right now, where these
who the fuck's calling me Jasmine? What the fuck's going on in your chat? Why am I even here?
Phil Gibson had a typo, and then they just decided that your name is now Jasmine.
All right, Phil, we're gonna have a talk.
So first of all, Trump goes to the Middle East. He goes to Saudi Arabia, and just look at all of. I covered some of it on the Astrolabe. I didn't even cover all of it. Look at how much deference they are treating him with. One of the most significant clips, and maybe I'll talk about this on the Lab tomorrow, so you guys get a little preview here. But there's this video of Trump. He's sitting up there on the stage, and he's got MBS and some of the other guys sitting around him, and the server, waiter, whatever, comes out, hands them each like the little shot of espresso. And MBS and the other guys, they all knock back their espresso. And Trump just sits there and just kind of holds it for a minute, and then he just sets it down. He's like, no. In that sort of environment, particularly with an honor culture like the Arab cultures are, very hospitable, very big emphasis on hospitality and this sort of, I guarantee you Trump understands that. He's done enough business with the Arab states, and he has a natural instinct for all of this. He understands the sorts of dynamics that you have. He goes and he sits down. They offer him this espresso, and obviously, even if you don't like it, don't want to drink it or whatever, the polite thing is you just drink it, and then you show the respect to each other. He doesn't drink it, but they don't take that as a sign of disrespect, because that's the status that he has earned for himself. He has earned the status that he could spurn your hospitality or aspects of your hospitality, and he has the station where he can do that without it being a sign of disrespect and without changing the relationship. They don't even bat an eye. The Crown Prince is driving him around in a golf cart. He personally walked him to the airplane to fly away. They're making a huge show of all of this. And this is just one country. He's going to all these different Middle Eastern countries. They're all making massive investments in the United States, and there is no European delegation to be found. There were I don't remember which country it was. It might have been UAE or Qatar. I'm not sure, but there were Arab military officers who were lining up and saluting the American president on their own soil. And there's no European delegation to be found anywhere.
Two things on that, right? The sovereign is he who can select the exception.
Yep.
Second thing, when Biden went to Saudi Arabia, he was treated with derision. Like, dismissal. Yeah, they were polite. Yeah, but they were polite. But I mean, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you're thinking about the power behind these men, because okay, you don't care about Biden, but you care about the power behind Biden. They're dismissing or being deferential to that power. Where Trump shows up and they're being extremely respectful, not just to him, but to who he represents.
Yep.
And the power that he represents. He's a figurehead. Again, the classic example of the king. The king is not. You can have two types of kings, right? The true despot who comes in and is the warlord and just controls the whole area. But the classic sense of the king, this is before the Enlightenment even, was that the king is really the vessel of the lords underneath him. So if let's say you take 10 lords who can have all this, they literally control the land, and they go, okay, look, we're squabbling each other all the time. We're each going to take 10% of our sovereignty and invest it in this office, the king, which is this guy for now, or his family, and he's going to be combined, he's going to have 100%. It's only 10%. It's a 10% haircut off each of our sovereignty that we're going to defer to this person, and he's going to be the guy. until he's no longer the guy. But as long as he's taking care of us and taking care of everything else, he's the guy, and he gets all the good things. And yeah, he gets to have his own little things here and there, but he's got to serve us. That's the rightful way to manage power.
Mm-hmm.
That all these little sovereign areas are all agreeing to give a shave of a haircut of their own sovereignty and place it into a vessel. And that vessel would be the king or the leader or the country, whatever, right? So America is the vessel. And when it's working is when the rest of the world all goes, okay, one world government kind of thing. Get rid of that. Everyone's got to be able to do their own thing. But maybe they give 10% and go, we'll give you 10%.
Right. We're not going to have this distributed globalist empire where there is no actual figurehead. There is no top of the hierarchy. We're going to have I guess it's not proper to say globalist because that's like a specific thing. We're going to have a globalized empire. We're going to have a globalized imperial power, but it's going to have a figurehead. That figurehead is going to be the American president, and that's not going to stop with Trump. Whoever follows Trump is going to serve the same role. Now he may not do it as well as Trump. He may not serve it in the same way as Trump, but whoever it is going to step into that. Trump has now redefined the role of the American president. He's created. It would be proper. It would honestly be more proper to speak of future presidents as the future Trump. The Trump is now in office.
So here's the thing. In Russia, this is a Dugin point. Dugin wants to popularize this idea of Putinism because Putin is actually the model for this.
Mm-hmm.
Putin is the vessel that all the other oligarchs have decided and agreed to give that 10% to.
Same with Xi.
Percentage to. Right. So here's how this breaks down. Let's make it even simpler for people. The family unit is a trinity. Father, mother, child. Okay? Inside the family is your own little mini trinity. The father at the head, the father is the priest of the house. The father is then his part of his role, part of his responsibilities is to cede certain parts of his sovereignty to other men above him. So to his priest or to his leader. Right? Now the father has to make that decision of who he sees that sovereignty is, because he has the sovereignty of the household. He's the vessel of the sovereignty of the household. And he has the combined responsibility and power of the mother and the child vested in him.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes that human capital that he's generating within his family and says, I will invest it in only proper places. So I need to be able to give it up to my priest, my moral decisions to my priest, and my structural decisions to my leader, to my king, my representative, whatever. And this goes up the line. So every single unit becomes a trinity. So okay, in America, we'll put it outside. In Russia, all these people make these decisions. They give it a little bit of sovereignty. The sovereignty trickles up to the oligarchs. The oligarchs then go, okay, we're going to take all this power, and we're going to cede it up to. We're all going to take a little bit of a haircut and cede it up to this one position called Putin or Xi for the Chinese. So there's your combined cumulative amount of power from the family, from the little family unit, all the way up. So that the person holding that position is the complete combined concentration of power of the entire country. From every single nucleus that matters. It's not individualism, and this is why individualism destroys society. It destroys civilization. One individual, okay, no matter how powerful that one individual is, doesn't come anywhere close to the trinity of a family. The trinity of the family has way more power. It's more stable. It's a fucking triangle.
Three legs on
one
a stool.
person, One person you press pressure, they crack, right? Trinity holds up.
It's almost like there's like fascia that are bound together.
Right. So we combine fractal realities, right? Fractal power. So now you have their head. So now you have all these different heads of all these different countries who are the accumulation of all this power, right? Of all the people giving all the power, rightful power from the family on up. This is why the family has to be reinstated. The primacy of the family has to be reinstated.
Build a Caesar.
Build a Caesar. So now you have your head. Now that head of that country, now you have a decision. All these different heads of these countries can decide to go to war with each other, and they can. Or they can each go, okay, we're going to take a haircut, call it 10%, and invest it into a third party. One of the big tells right now, and this is why Peter Thiel's fingerprints are all over this, because I'm coming up with all this from my understanding of Girard, and my understanding of Girard is nothing compared to Peter Thiel. So now you have, what is, Donald Trump just said this recently, and I'm going to paraphrase, that America's rightful position should be the arbiter of peace in the world. Because if you take America and the American president as the king, the world king, right? He will sit upon the throne of the world. And he's taking 10% of all, or whatever, percentage of all the power, of all the sovereignty from all the other countries, and they're going to invest it into one place. Well, they're not asking that guy to go to war in Buttfuckstan. They're asking him to be an arbiter of peace. To keep, right, all the land, all the lords, give a little percentage of power to the king, so that Putin can decide and keep the peace within Russia. Yeah, so now Putin is basically saying, I want to give you a percentage of power so you can keep peace in the world. Because it can't come from me. If you want to come from me, it'll come from me, no problem. But then this other shit's going to go down.
Yeah, look what happened with India and Pakistan. What Trump said in his speech in Saudi Arabia, he said the thing he used to negotiate the peace between them was trade. So we're using trade as a mechanism for generating peace. And he's using the carrot and the stick here. We're either going to penalize, sanction you, or we're going to set up a specialized deal with you, give you preferred access or what have you. But isn't it fascinating that you had the divine right monarchy, which part of this divine right here is that the king is embodied in his people. His mandate, his divine mandate, comes from the people. His job is to serve the people. And the lords, each lord has that same fractal relationship. The lord owns the manor and the little towns and stuff that crop up for all the serfs, the peasants who serve him. And his responsibility is to keep them wealthy, prosperous, happy, safe, protected. And in return, they will show up and fight wars for him. They will form the army that he amasses, that then he cedes to the monarch. So the monarch is to the lords as the lord is to the serfs. And
Exactly.
What's happening now is that democracy is simply rediscovering divine rights monarchy.
And the Lord is to the the Lord is to the serfs what the father is to the child.
Yes.
And the mother.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
All these things have to be reflective. All these things have to be conjoined.
The father is an icon of the Lord. The Lord is an icon of the king. The king is an icon of Christ.
Right.
Christ is an icon of the Father.
And Christ is still an icon of every single man all the way down the line. It's just it's an axis of power, right? So the father in let's say a peasant village, he doesn't have the power or abilities to do anything on a bigger scale. He can only maybe affect things in his family, in his own parcel of land to a degree. But that doesn't mean anything if you get invaded by a foreign army, right? So you need that power structure. You need it. So it has to be reflected constantly all the way up. How do you get moral good? Well, moral good comes from up and down at the same time. It's not this flows. It's Father Trevor Quayle said this brilliantly, and it's really stuck with me, that truth has to work both ways. So power has to flow both ways. In order for it to actually be real power, it has to be a paradox. Right? The power comes up from below to substantiate it, to legitimize it, all the way to the top. So the lowest of the low legitimize the highest of the high, and the highest of the high then legitimize the lowest of the low. And it's a circuit. And as long as that circuit's maintained, and of course, it's not going to be perfect and wonderful and amazing all the time, but it has to be that once it's substantiated, there's your pattern, and there's your trust, and there's your and there's your expectation for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. It can only be substantiated from the trust of the leadership. And the leadership has to trust the common man. The king can't get shit done if he sends a decree and everyone goes, not doing that, fuck you. Or is open rebellion. Same thing. The common people can't trust and do the things and have kids and do the things that they're asked to do if they're like, well, I don't know if this guy's going to be cutting off heads tomorrow because he's crazy. It works both ways. And again, we can look at the extremes to understand the mechanisms at play. That's why civilization itself. What we're talking about is civilization. And why I'm saying we don't live in a civilization anymore, but we can again. It's not impossible. It's not even beyond our scope of within a generation. We can substantiate these things, but we have to be on the same team. And the team is this: is that would you give up what you think is your immediate benefit? Would you give that up so that your grandkids could have a 10 times better life than you do? And if your answer is no, you're not dealing with civilization. There's your civ frame. I will risk it all today so that my child or my grandkids will inherit the earth. It's what we do. Why? Because we're builders. We build. Doesn't have to make sense. But but it's a bet. And if the odds are so bad that the bet seems stupid, you stop betting. You retract. You take all your stuff and go, no, I'm not giving you my sovereignty. The sovereignty is the metaphysical thing. Votes are a paper version that's trying to encapsulate this thing. The will of the people. What is it? Where is it? Point it to me. It only exists in the hearts and minds of man. And as things get rough, we retract it. We that's where we're at right now. Everyone's going, nope, you don't get my sovereignty. You can't have a civilization that way. You have to give it up. But you have to give it up to good people. 15-minute cities, digital ID, all the stuff. The technology itself isn't the problem. The problem is that no one trusts the people who are going to be in control of it. That's the problem. Because what's being asked is that you give up some of your sovereignty with trust that we're going to use this to actually benefit you and protect you. So when we say, hey, you need this digital ID to protect you from AI, everyone goes, yeah, okay, fine. But we trust you that you're not going to misuse this, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one trusts anyone now.
Mm-hmm.
15-minute cities. That's European cities. Montreal's a 15-minute city. It's not crazy. It's not like, crazy ideas. But no one trusts them. Because we go, oh, you mean 15? Oh, you mean blockades, don't you? Oh, you mean I have to? It's going to be Hunger Games shit, right?
15-minute city sounds a lot like Patchwork.
Sure. Nothing wrong with it conceptually.
Also sounds like Amsterdam.
Montreal. I lived in NDG. Nice little cutout of the city that you could just live in NDG. I did. I didn't go. I joked to my wife. I was like, the thing that I like about living in the city is that you have the option. We never exercise. We very rarely exercise the option of going downtown or somewhere else like that. But we have the option. It's there. We could do that. We're not going to, but we could. We just go to the local bar instead of going all the way downtown. But it's nice to have that option. That's the problem with the 15-minute city, the way it's being presented. Again, it's not the technology. It's the people in control of it. And no one trusts them. No one. Not even diehard liberals who are being paid to trust them actually trust these fuckers. That's the problem. Because how do you invest your sovereignty? To whom? Where? How? They're going to change. And this is, for the secular humanist, this is a major problem, especially in global relations. Because if you're saying, okay, we don't have a religion, we don't have a regio, no real firm ruler, no real region anymore. People are diverse. There's no sense of personhood, right? When I say America, you go, what is that? Depends, right? And we don't have a religion. Well, if I'm talking to someone else outside of this paradigm, to a Chinese person, for example, there's no reason to trust anyone in the West. Because you're literally going to change you could change your entire paradigm of who the fuck you are tomorrow. So if I'm just going to sign a 20-year business deal with an expectation that, hey, you believe in this. Now, either I don't have to believe in it, I don't have to agree with you, but at least I understand that these are your parameters. Here's your taboos. Here's your things you're most likely to do. Da 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 da. Well, you've just told me that I'm going to change this tomorrow. I don't even know what gender I am. Well, shit. I'm not investing in you. Why would I do that? That's just stupid. You could just change the parameters of the deal tomorrow and say that lying's fine.
Very Talmudic.
So, yeah. Well, secular humanism is destruction of international. It's almost why globalism is done. It's not because of the economics of it. I mean, there's part of that. But it's because no one trusts each other. And globalism has to happen under a global. If globalism can happen and be successful, it can only happen because of massive amounts of trust in a stable world with stable ideas of who the fuck you are. And if you don't have that and you can't present that, there is no reason to do these deals other than that's what we do, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's wrap on this last tweet here from Yarvin. I guess it's not proper to call it a thread because he did this weird, quote tweeting each one of his tweets in the thread. But
it's a good one, though. Yeah.
He said, so the last tweet in it, he said, the first duty of every authority is to consolidate its power if that power is unstable or incomplete. If its power is complete, its first duty is to maintain it. And then he says, long before you commit suicide, you lose the will to live. The truth is that all power is from God. One of his famous quotes from, I can't remember which one in Unqualified Reservations. I don't remember which series it was, but he said, talking about divine rights monarchy, talking about Robert Filmer in his book. And he said, if my cousin Ricky is I can't remember it now. Something about cousin Ricky being the king because God ordained him to be so. And it's like, the king is the king because God ordained him to be the king. If God didn't ordain him to be the king, he wouldn't be the king. Because he is the king, we know that God ordained him to be the king. It's a Schelling point in Silicon Valley lingo. It's easy. Everyone can just agree the king is the king. And how do we know he's the king? Because he's the king. All power, the truth is that all power is from God. When a system needs to die, God sends it a death wish. This is Romans 13 right here. When Paul talks about submitting to the rulers of the land, he's talking about the same thing that YARVIN is talking about here. The system will collapse. The bad rulers will be thrown out of power when it's time for the system to collapse and the bad rulers to be thrown out of power. This is part of God's providence and having faith and trusting in his providence. If the bad rulers are still there and they haven't been thrown out of power, that's because God has ordained that the bad rulers be there and not be thrown out of power. And most likely what you can conclude from that is that there is something like suffering is a tool that refines us. So if collectively on a societal level, we are suffering under the tyranny of bad rulers and a corrupt system, it's because we are bad, corrupt people. And the system is just reflecting that back to us. So if you want a good, uncorrupt or incorrupt system, then you need to become good, incorrupt people. He says, when a system needs to die, God sends it a death wish. I've been writing about destroying Harvard for almost 20 years. Why am I on stage in the faculty lounge? And this is, I think, it seems to me a lot of people didn't understand what he was meaning with this. This is very Yarvin-esque in the way he wrote this.
Well, I think this is the big sellout point, right?
Right.
This is like he's sold out. He's talking about destroying Harvard, and he's at Harvard. That bastard. It's like, no, the fact that he's at Harvard means that that's
Harvard's death wish. Harvard is now bringing into the fold, platforming, putting on stage the man who has been writing about destroying them for 20 years. That's not because Yarvin sold out. That's because Harvard sold out. Because Harvard is cooked.
There's your clip.
God has sent a death wish to Harvard. Harvard is committing suicide.
Yeah.
Harvard is committing suicide in the form of platforming Curtis Yarvin.
Trump, both the first and the second now, right, is the pathogen of suicide of the West.
Yes.
Of the managerial system, of the British managerial system. That was the signal.
He's the storm.
Over now. It's over. It's over. It's finished. Bye-bye. See ya. Too bad that assassination attempt didn't work. Eh? Oops.
Yeah. It's a
better luck next time.
We should coin a phrase. We should coin a phrase. When you go after the king, you better make sure you get him. I think that's how it goes. That's nice and pithy, right?
Best not miss. Yeah, I mean, this is it. How do you? Okay, it's extra frustrating to see people who say they're Christian miss on this, and they keep doing this. And again, I'm day one Christian. Really, I'm a white belt, so I'm careful when I talk about this stuff. But I'll put it this way: we have the mimetic model, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the resurrection, Christ, Roman Empire. Christians go through.
I'm a white guy. I'm ready to kill.
Being persecuted, right? Being hunted down, persecuted, but won't back down. Won't break it. Won't break. And then eventually, what breaks? The Roman Empire. So you're given the actual historic model of this phenomena, of the thing that will spell the doom of it, is the thing that it reacts the most against, and then it has to then acquiesce to. They try to destroy Trump, MAGA, everything else connected to it. Didn't work. Try to kill the man. Didn't work. Now, too late. Now it's going to change the entire system.
Slosher
to what? I don't know.
Slosher sends $10. He says, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." Curtis Yarvin, probably.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's again, we're on top of the vengeful son. This is it. And to give the vengeful son its due. In a way, it's required. It has to happen because you've had these other things happen. So every action begets a reaction, and this is the final reaction. That this thing is going to burn out all the preceding actions. So there's a window of hope here that the vengeful son will burn this all out, and what we left and the remnants of it will build this new great thing. Because there's great men involved, and all that stuff, and we can be hopeful. I'm not saying no fucking blackpilling, so whatever. But that's also why my recommendation is to be the prodigal son.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's a really bad bet. Right, you're literally betting on threading the needle of all needles, because the animating spirit of this all the preceding ages up until this one has been Antichrist, and there's no good reason to believe that this new spirit is going to be anything different than the last two before it. And I think the only way but it feels good.
Yeah,
right?
The Devouring Mother felt good too.
Sure did. Mini skirts and civil rights. Bob Dylan sang some wonderful songs. Serious. Felt good. Felt right. Felt just. Civil rights felt really just for a lot of people. And in a way, it was. Because dealing in the paradigm, right? If you're just dealing in the paradigm of liberalism, then you're damn right. Then all these people should have the right to vote and have power and prestige and validation, because that's the system you're going with, right? Well, if you're substantiating this thing, you might as well give it to everybody. And you did. And it sucks, doesn't it? So now you're going to do this thing where you're going to claw it back, or burn it all down to reinstantiate a new thing. And again, it's going to feel good. You're going to feel right. You're going to feel just. Because in a way, it is. But the things you're going to do to beget that age are going to color all the other decisions down the road. And again, there's no good reason to believe that this spirit is going to be beneficial to everyone across time. And maybe you can cash in on it here and now, but it's going to be around for a bit. If you're like me, you got kids, you think about 60 years. I'm not going to be around for 60 years. I won't be able to protect my kid for 60 years. So, what comes down the pike? What does it lead us to? That's why I'm saying, be the vanguard of the prodigal son. Because if we do have a hope, if there is a chance to at least keep some good in there, then that comes from the prodigal son. Return, repent, redeem. And let other people see it. Be transformed by it. Believe in the good, the beautiful, true. Forward it. Become it. That's how we maybe thread that needle. In your own little groups. Or maybe, hey, you do it so well that even the elites have to go, oh shit, we should do that. That's pretty good.
That's called redeeming the world.
Right, maybe.
Where can the people find you, Jason?
Mironchuck now. Over all places.
Let the people know.
Let the people know where to find. Thank you again for the support. Thanks again to it was Alan for the SIG money. Appreciate that. Appreciate some beer money. The links up there in the chat and all the other places. Ooh. I think I need more beer. I gotta go clean the house. But help support the show any way you can. Appreciate you folks. Things have been tight and lean and all that stuff, but we're getting through it. We're doing the thing. We're doing. Of course, we do the weekly show with Jim Jotras called Then and Now. Going to have some more guests on, hopefully starting next week. So that'll be interesting and fun conversations. And then, of course, me and Matt here on Thursdays.
We may have a very interesting special guest for next week. We'll see.
Oh,
we'll see if it happens.
Matt just does things and doesn't even tell me.
No, we talked about this last night.
Did we?
We did. Yeah.
Oh, right, we did. Yeah. I'm old and dying. What do you want? Yeah, all the places, Spotify, all the places. I'm uploading more now too. Sorry, Spotify folks. I've been tardy, but I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for listening to my dumbass. And we will talk to you again next week.
Mm-hmm. Pray for Jason, guys. He needs it. Pray for me. I need it. Pray for my family. Thank you for showing up. You can there's the Streamlabs link obviously is in the description. Make sure you hit Jason's PayPal link and his Gumroad. Go buy a subscription.
Here's the thing: if you're in America, really like $5 is like almost $10 for me. So I just checked the exchange rate where Australian currency is crashing. So yeah, it's a good time. So $5, send it to me from PayPal. $5-10. It actually makes a big difference. So.
Mm-hmm. And I've got Cash App and Buy Me a Coffee links in the description. There's the Streamlabs link. Any of those work. Thank you guys for all of your support. I'm humbled and touched, and I'm very blessed that we get to do this. Even if all the streaming platform issues are taking years off the end of my life, at least I know they're going to be good years, the ones I have left. Make sure you go over and subscribe to the King Pilled Substack. I'll be posting this up over there, so this goes out onto the podcast channels, and you can get the links to the things that we. I guess we only went through a couple of tweets today, but make sure you join the King Pilled Discord. You're missing out if you're not there. We're building a strong, powerful, networked community, and at the point that we do a King Pilled meetup, IRL meetup, it's going to be coordinated through the King Pilled Discord. So if you want to know about that, then that's the place to be. So kingpill.com for that, tips.kingpill.com for the Streamlabs link, and I think that's all I got. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing up. We don't have an outro song yet. The intro song is just the one the one I stole from whatever his name, Red 5 Jedi or something like that. I can't remember his name. But don't have an outro song yet. Don't have Hulk on here. Hulk is an Astrolabe thing. So
yeah.
So we're just going to be talking along here and just kind of